Hello and welcome to In PS We Trust, episode 4. Joining me, as always, is Phil.
It's your boy.
And Spencer.
I thought I was the boy.
So we're a fortnightly PlayStation podcast, and we each bring to the table one and sometimes two different topics to discuss in depth. So first, let's cover off what we're drinking. So Spence, what are you on today?
Same as always, mate. Back on the Budweisers. However, this time, they came out of my wallet. How crazy is that?
Whoa.
So that means your opinions today are going to be your own for the first time in this show's history.
Well, the first episodes, they were my own. However, obviously I wasn't drunk because I just didn't have alcohol. First episode. This is my first time with beverages where I am actually in control of myself and my own opinions.
Oh my god.
In control of your own destiny. This is big.
This is dangerous. I think this is actually more dangerous than normal. We just let you off the leash now.
Well, let's get to the topics and see what I say.
Just outrageous stuff immediately.
He could be the controversial one this week. I've taken the hit. Last week it was you, mate. Spencer, this is your week to shine.
So what about you, Phil? What are you on today?
Well, tonight, boys, I'm mixing the alcohol. Starting off strong with an Amstel beer.
Ooh.
Got a couple drop round. It was my birthday last week, so my next door neighbour treated me to a couple of bottles of Amstel. So I'm trying to get through those. And then I'll move on a little later. My girlfriend bought me a wine decanter. So I'm going to keep it classy a little bit later and have a nice glass of red while we're discussing all things PlayStation 5.
Do you still think that you're in your prime now that you have a wine decanter?
Mate, I am a fine wine. I've said this before on the podcast. It's better with age.
I think you're like a raisin. You've been just left out too long in the sun, mate. And you just fucked now. Just throw you in the trash for the rest of it. Throw you in the trash.
I haven't left this house since lockdown, mate. So I haven't seen the sun in months.
Bloody hell. The last couple of episodes, I've been drinking San Miguel. I've been waiting for an email or a text or a call even. A nice little cheeky call. Maybe a letter from San Miguel asking if I want to partake in some kind of sponsorship deal. Obviously that hasn't happened. So I decided I'm going to move over to my favourite lager of choice, which is Estrella. But yeah, goddamn, it's amazing. And that's going to tide me through. And then if we go on long, like we think we might do, might have to crack out the Thatcher's Haze.
Ooh.
Oh, baby.
Moving away from Spain with that choice then, Davey?
Well, the Thatchers, yeah. Bring it closer to home. We've moved from... You told me last episode that San Miguel was from the Philippines.
Well, Philippines company. I think it originated from the Philippines, but it was a Spanish company, wasn't it? I think that was the thing we settled on last week.
We've moved then. Estrella is Spanish. It's a Barcelona beer. And then Thatcher's is obviously grown and produced here in the UK, so we're getting closer to home. All I need to do then is follow it up with a nice Welsh beer. Like a bootlegger.
Is there one?
Yeah, you got bootlegger, or you got Wrexham Lager.
Christ, those well-known lagers.
Yeah, it'd be dark times.
I was going to say, looking at our analytics for the past couple of shows, we need to, tailor this show to the greater audience because we are worldwide. I see we've picked up a couple of listeners from, Canada, did you say?
That's right, yeah. We're growing up a bit in Canada and Australia at the moment, as well as a few people that have come on from Mexico.
There we go. So it's Foster's and a nice tequila next week, maybe.
Oh, that'd be nice. Well, I think the thing we set before was on every 10 episodes, we're going to get absolutely trashed and record. So
yeah, my idea for that is we'll play some drinking games and then we'll record.
Expect that. It's a bit of foreshadowing for 6 episodes' time. At that point then, it's going to be messy. So that'll be a tequila time, that will.
Well, we'll see how this goes. I'm just pouring my first glass of red. So cheers, lads.
Cheers, everyone.
So talking about our listeners, I had a little bit of feedback come in on Discord earlier. Very complimentary towards the three of us, actually. The quote was, there's way more structure to the podcast now, and you're all playing off each other's styles a bit more. You're all quite different personality-wise. So I'll take that as a positive for the show. Hopefully that's put a smile on you guys' face.
Did they mention who their favourite was?
No, they didn't have a favourite. I don't know if I should message them back and ask that.
I don't think you should. I think anyone who's listening, if you want to put in who your favourite is, write into the email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Let us know. I will, for clarity's sake, say that I do run the email. So if it isn't me, I don't know if it will get read. But I'm just putting that out there. But if you want to write in and say something nice about myself, I will certainly read that out. That'd be great.
Alternatively, you could DM the Twitter account if it's me. Because I run that.
I was going to say, guys, if we ever do some interviews in the future, maybe we'll do some quick fire questions. And, normally they've got to pick one or the other. So maybe we could span that out, have 3, and then we'll quick fire question, Phil, Davey or Spencer. And they've got to answer really quick on the spot to see, who's the favourite.
I think that's the only fair way of doing it in future.
Put people on the spot, put them under pressure.
Just quick,
who's
who's the cutest?
In front of a microphone.
Who's the cutest?
Quick, who's the cutest? Go. See what they say.
All right. Yeah, that'd be good. Who do you reckon would win that?
It depends. Have you shaved or no?
Me? I will for that question, yes.
You look like a right baby when you shave.
I know, I look like 5. So I'll shave. That's the only thing that's keeping me holding on to my youth, is that I know at any point I can just revert 10 years by shaving
10?
my face.
30,
20. Just revert to a sperm.
Then on the offside, a lot of people think like grandparents and old people are cute as well. So Phil's got that going too.
He does.
Hello.
He does.
It all depends where we're interviewing and who we're interviewing.
That's true.
If we're out in the OAP bingo halls, it's your boy. He might be taking a couple of wins home.
The only way that Phil keeps himself young is to go into old people's homes. So then they can tell him, oh, what a nice young man.
I think this is one of those points where you just leave a gap.
Yes, yeah, I will. I'll leave a fucking massive gap.
Right, boys. So not a lot has really happened to me in the last 2 weeks besides just playing games. But I'm pretty sure stuff's happened with you boys. So Phil, what's happened with you last 2 weeks?
I've made it to the grand age of 36. On the 14th of November, it was my birthday. We celebrated it in style, COVID style, in the house. Didn't go out. Had a nice curry in the evening. Spent some time in the hot tub. Drank a lot of wine. So yeah, that was my day.
Very cultured individual you are, Phil. Happy birthday.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, happy
Thanks,
birthday,
guys.
mate.
Did you get anything nice for your birthday?
Yeah, I had a couple of different gifts. Laura bought me a nice wine decanter, which we talked about earlier, and she also got me the newest Spider-Man game, which we'll probably get onto a little later when we talk about PS5, because that is the only game I've actually played so far. I see you guys shaking your heads already.
Well, did you get anything for your stream? Because your stream's been popping off lately. You've been doing quite a lot of work with it.
Yeah, a couple of people bought me different gifts for streaming. My brother bought me a new stream deck. So I've managed to put a couple of sound effects and a couple of scenes for my Twitch streaming. And shout out to John and Jody. They bought me a new ring light. So as we're podcasting now, you can see me looking a little bit nice. You can see those colours in my eyes from the ring light.
You know those posts on Twitter where there's something that's not strictly true, and it comes up with like a little warning message. I feel like I wish I could have an audio version of that come up right then. But no, your stream's been doing really good. So where can people find you on Twitch?
So I'm streaming at the moment on twitch.tv /VenomPhil. So VenomPhil is my in-game name for pretty much everything, from like Steam, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, PS, Xbox, everything, man. I've managed just to secure that name. It's a pretty like random name to come across because it's my favorite character within Spider-Man, and then of course it's my name. So I can't imagine many people would have that as a username, and I've never found anyone with it. So I've done quite well.
No, it's class.
Yeah, fair play, mate. You know, I just realised, boys, something great has happened to all 3 of us in these past 2 weeks.
What's that?
We all got our PS5s.
Hey!
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
There
None
is
of us
something to
thought
celebrate.
about it.
Wait a minute. Why are we doing a podcast? We should be playing our PS5s.
We owe it to the people. To the people. For our audience, the majority of it is UK based. We've only just got the PlayStation. We are going to be covering that in a lot of depth. But we got one more thing to go through before we get to that. So, it's been 2 weeks since the last podcast. What have we been playing? Spence, I'll pass it over to you first.
Right. So for me, obviously because I was really excited for PS5 and for Demon's Souls, I wanted to finish everything. Everyone already knows this if they're listening. But I was trying to finish Dark Souls 1. And I have to say, I was doing good. I was doing good on my quest to complete all the Dark Souls games before Demon's Souls. But then I had to fight the 4 kings in the Abyss. I think I died maybe 15, 16 times without killing a single king. And even though they called the 4 kings, apparently there's 5 of them down there. That makes no fucking sense. So I just kind of gave up. And I went to bed. I thought, tell you what, I'm tired. I'll try it again tomorrow. And usually like you can't beat something, so you go to sleep, and the next day it's just a cakewalk.
Yeah.
Sure.
I figured maybe it'll be like that. But I woke up and just never booted the game back up.
So you never know.
Wow.
See,
Maybe after I beat Demon Souls, because there's not a chance of playing Dark Souls now with Demon Souls next to me. Not a chance in hell. But maybe, yeah, I'm never playing it again.
it's just gone forever. It's just gone forever now.
Because I'm thinking, if I'm in the mood to play Dark
bin.
Souls, I'll boot up, instead of booting up Dark Souls, I'll be like, oh, I do have Demon Souls on PS5.
You were saying to me before, privately, about how you've turned over a new leaf now, and how platinums is something you're going to go for, and you're going to sweat a game and just get a platinum and then move on to the next one.
Yeah, I stand by that.
Is that only from the PS5 forward now?
It is. I mean, I'm sure I'll play PS4 games in the past and go forward.
To be fair, I think now with PS5 and the choices are so broad, I think it's much easier to sort of spend the time and actually get those trophies, because like at the moment I've only got one game for my PS5 and I'm definitely going to go for the trophies on mine.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I've never really cared about trophies. I've never cared about them at all. I don't know, PS5 hits different. And obviously Dark Souls, I've got it on PC. I can't even get trophies, so sod that.
That's probably one of the reasons then. An update on last time is that I completed Mario 64, just like you're saying, Spence, with lack of trophies on PC and kind of you can just leave it. I got 70 stars, completed the game. I have no interest in going back to it to get the rest. None. If there was a platinum list for it, if it somehow had a platinum, chances are I would have done it. And I would have grinded out the rest of them. But I got no incentive to do it.
Well, the thing is for me there is obviously I have Dark Souls on Steam, and Steam does have achievements, and I could 100% it. As far as I know, there's not really a massive reward. You don't get a big thing on your account saying you've 100% of this game. I'm sure you could have it on your profile if you set it on there, but I don't know if I care enough. On PlayStation, it keeps a collection of your accomplishments,
Does Steam not do that then? I don't play PC games, so I don't know.
I think it does. I don't know. I don't think I've ever 100% of the game on PC. Not going to lie to you. I don't think I ever have. I'm such a casual PC gamer. I'll play a game, then I'll never play it again.
I think with PC games, obviously there's so much variety and so many games to play out there.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you want to spend your time grinding out these really weird-ass trophies in a game that maybe you're not so passionate about, when you could just move on to the next, and then there's a brand new game for you to explore, especially if maybe like me, you buy the Humble Bundle packs.
Yeah,
and you get 20 or 30 games and you're paying a tenner. You don't need to 100% that game, do you? But with PlayStation, obviously you invest that money, don't you? And with PS5, then it might be £70, so you would spend that amount of time within that environment to then get that trophy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I suppose that's the thing about it, isn't it? All the platforms, probably minus Switch. I guess Switch has a lot of games come to it every week from the indies and stuff, but the PlayStation Store and the Xbox Store every single week are just nuts. They're filled with games every single week, and there's so much choice. That kind of Steam analogy does make sense, but I get what you mean in terms of you're kind of looking for those tentpole games that only come around every couple of months, rather than like the Humble Bundle. You get 20 games that, yeah, maybe you thought, oh, I'll get to them at some point, but they're not you're not burning to play them like you are for, a brand new release like Miles Morales.
And I think that's, why on PS4, I've only got maybe 7 or 8 platinums. They tend to be the big games which I'm kind of looking forward to, which I'm heavily invested to, such as Death Stranding, such as the Transformers games. These are the games that I want to spend that time in, rather than just something maybe like, I don't know, Doom or Resident Evil, which we might talk about in a second, where I've just bought the game just to play through and see how it is.
I think the main key difference for me with it is that PC is obviously just such a multiplayer-based platform. So, obviously, you're having a massive rig to, get these dubs in Warzone and all that nonsense. But you're not exactly playing... Not a lot of PC players play story-based games or, play games for the experience and for the achievements. They just want to play multiplayer games with their friends. And that's fine, but you're not exactly going to be trophy hunting doing that, will you?
Do you think it's because pay to play on PC is free? You don't have to pay to play with your friends, unlike you would have to do on Xbox or PlayStation.
I don't think it's that at all. Not in the slightest. I think it's just because a lot of PC players, obviously, like if you're playing a story-based game, you want comfort. But on keyboard and mouse, it's less about comfort. It's more about precision. So you're using the controls to be better in like FPS situations.
Because for me, I would play my story-based games on a console, and then I would play my multiplayer, as you just said, on PC.
Yeah.
Because there is no subscription fee. I can just play the game,
Do you think that's the reason why something like Horizon Zero Dawn, when that's come to PC, that hasn't sold very well?
Yeah.
Do you think
100%.
that could potentially be it?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, there's no multiplayer, is there? So,
Yeah.
It's
it
interesting.
doesn't appeal to them as much.
Because I know like God of War's coming to PC pretty soon. And so that would be a really interesting little case study, really, to see how that does. Because the thing that didn't help Horizon's launch was that it had a load of bugs to start with.
I think with God of War, it's got such a big name to it, hasn't it? It's got a big legacy, right? That people want to play this game. So I may have not had a PlayStation ever. I may have always had a PC, but I would have heard of God of War over all these generations, right? But with Horizon, it's a brand new IP.
I kind of completely disagree with that. I understand what you mean, whereas a lot of people know God of War and a lot of people think it's amazing, but those are mostly PlayStation players. They'll be thinking, God of War's made, can't wait for the next one. Or I'll definitely buy this. Whereas on PC, like Davey said, Horizon obviously didn't do it as well on PC. I don't think story-based games will, but it's fine for the developers to make it on PC anyway, because obviously on PC everything's digital. They don't have to spend any money making physical copies or distributing, and all they have to do really is port it over. So it's like minimal work for still even if it's a small margin, still profit.
So for me, having a PlayStation and having a PC, and then having other consoles, I tend to be the other guy in those conversations, in those groups, right? So I might be in a conversation with PC players, right? And I might say, oh, guys, have you heard, I probably wouldn't, but have you heard of God of War, right? And they're like, no, I've never played it, but I've heard a lot of talk about it. So I want to play that game because it's over a number of years. But with Horizon, because it's the new IP, I just don't think they would have heard enough from the console people about this game to want to play it.
Sure, I understand.
Has there been a game that's been huge, like story-driven game that's gone from PC to console, like after a long period of time?
Yeah. Half-Life 2 got added to console through the orange box. Yeah, I'd imagine. I think that's the biggest example I could think of. And as far as I know, it definitely didn't do as well on console as it did on PC.
That would be the biggest, and that would be the opposite of the conversation we're just having. So that's always PC players talking about how great Half-Life is, or was. And I was definitely one of them, Davey. And then I forced you in to buying the orange box.
What was even worse was that for myself, I got into Half-Life with Opposing Force. So I'd heard so much buzz about it from the PC market that I bought a PC game and played it on PC and played Half-Life 1 and Opposing Force on PC. Like you were saying, with Orange Box, then you just rattled on and on and on and on about Half-Life 2. And so I finally experienced it then years later, after the Orange Box released. It'd been out for like 4 years by the time I actually got to it on PS3.
Just to nip in before we move on to the next one, I think the thing with Half-Life 2 and Orange Box is that all the stuff when I first played Half-Life was brand new, right?
Yeah.
All the mechanics, all the the physics in Half-Life 2. That was the first time I'd ever seen it, so it blew me away. When you played Orange Box, there had already been a number of games that had copied those elements, and you had already played those on PlayStation. So to then play Half-Life 2, it probably wasn't such an amazing game.
I think you can make that argument for any game though, can't you? For example, I've just gone back now and played, not long ago, only about 7 months ago, played Symphony of the Night. And obviously that came out in 1996? It stood up and it was absolutely fantastic. And I could see everything that's been influenced by it, but it didn't take away from the fact that it was just a brilliant game, start to finish.
Sure.
But no, I know exactly what you mean. The gravity gun must have been absolutely mind-blowing right at the time.
Yeah. I played it way later, and it still blew me away, the way it worked. I still think the physics in there are phenomenal.
I was just going to go on about the portal guns. And Davey, as you know, from a long-time member of the Thursday Night Club, or the Fivers In Club, you would have known I had both of those portal guns. Many a night running around my street shooting portals at each other, or pretending to, while hammered on vodka.
Oh, that's sick.
Do you know what? The only problem is, whenever I think of Portal 2, I always remember that you took my Move controllers and I never got them back.
That is very true. I've still got them.
It's a painful memory. You've still got them?
Yeah, still got them. It's basically in my cupboard. I open it up and it's a little picture of you with the Move controllers underneath and a couple of cut-ins of your hair around it. and your old Yum's baseball cap as well. I nicked that as well.
Because I remember saying to you before, I think I was going to buy, in PS3, I was going to buy the PlayStation Aim Move controller thing so I could play Killzone with like a little attachment. And I was like, Phil, you still got my Move controllers? And you were like, no, mate. And you were just like, no, I'm sure I gave you them back. I was like, you definitely didn't. And you were like, they're gone, mate. The same as when we went to a festival. At festivals, they hike up prices, right? And I bought some wellies that were like 25 quid. They're probably only 5 quid worth wellies. And they were in Phil's shed. And I've never seen them since.
Mate, you know my dad. He's a hoarder. You can't get in that shed. Like, I couldn't get in that shed if I wanted to. And for 5 quid wellies, I don't want an argument with my parents. I'll eBay you or Amazon you some wellies if you really want them. But yeah, I have definitely got your Move controllers if you ever want them back.
If I eventually ever buy a PSVR, then I might need them.
Because I originally borrowed them, didn't I, to play Portals 2 with?
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever did. I think I just borrowed them and then they just were in my room for years.
Did the Move controller work with Portal 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was supposed to be awesome. But I never got a chance to play it because Phil had them.
Fun fact about Portal 2, actually, is that I bought Portal 2 on PS3, and I beat the game on PS3, but inside the case of Portal 2 was a code for the game on Steam. Because if you bought it on PS3, it gave it to you for free on Steam with a code. And that's what got me into PC gaming.
Wow.
So I heard about it, and I was like, I knew people played PC, and I was like, oh, I mean, I've never actually tried anything, so let's give it a go. Played Portal 2 on Steam for maybe like an hour, and I was like, fuck me. This is so much better than playing it on console.
So Valve is responsible for both me and you getting a PC and being passionate about PC gaming.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
It's all down to Valve.
On my mum's laptop.
Yeah.
100%.
That was a full circle on a random little escapade that we went down when we were talking about a different topic. But I'm all down for that. You know this show by now. We're 4 episodes in. We just let these conversations go, and that's kind of all we do on this podcast.
Yeah, we're talking about Dark Souls 1.
This is our thing. This is what we do. This is our little unique selling point. So in terms of what I've been playing, so I've already said about that I've played Mario 64 and I completed it. And the thing that's really stuck in my head actually was what you said in the last episode of this podcast, Spence.
Right.
So you said to me about how the more I play it, the more I'm going to end up loving it.
Yeah, of course.
You were totally bang on, because when you get the hang of the movement and you learn about how not to bother even messing with the camera because the camera's just useless anyway.
Yeah, it is.
It becomes so intuitive and it becomes really, really good. There's still major issues with the game. I don't think it holds up that well. I really don't.
Did you start doing the flick back jump?
I started doing everything. Yeah, like jumping off walls. Like literally my movement got really, really good by the end. But I don't think it holds up. I don't think it's as good as people make it out to be. In terms of its lasting impact on gaming, I think it's immeasurable. It's done such a huge leap for video games.
Yeah, it has.
But in terms of playing it now in 2020, no, it doesn't hold up like some of the other classics that I have played from similar time frames. But that was fun, so I managed to complete that and get that done. And then I looked at my trophy list and I thought, right, what have I got that I'm nearly 100% on, that I've nearly platinumed, but I haven't done? And so I set myself a goal to try and get everything that was plus 95 odd % completion. And so there's 2 games. There was Hotline Miami 2 and there was Dead Nation. So Hotline Miami 2, I originally bought on my PlayStation Vita, and I went on holiday for a couple of weeks with my wife, and I play it every single night, and I played it on the plane, and any downtime really, I was just playing it because I love Hotline Miami. And I did everything. A+ all the missions, did it on hard mode, A+, everything. Everything that was hard to do, I did. There was 1 trophy left, which was get 50,000 kills. And so even after 2 full playthroughs of the game and the amount of retakes it makes to be able to get A+ on every single level on hard, I still didn't have the trophy pop. And I played it. It was an 8-hour flight home from Dominican Republic, where we went. Played it for 8 hours, replaying the same mission. It didn't pop. And it's been left ever since 2016.
Is there like an in-game tracker that tells you how many people you've killed?
No, there's not.
Oh.
And so
Very
I was
difficult.
thinking maybe it's bugged And then the other side is after 8 hours of just doing the same mission, and it's not even a full mission. There's basically the best way to do it is you start this one mission and you start off and immediately you can get yourself onto a machine gun and there's 12 guys in a room. And so you can run that, get killed by the 12th guy and then restart and then just do that. So you get into this little pattern where it takes about 5 seconds each time.
For how many kills did you do that?
10,000.
Well, I don't know
10,
how many
000.
I needed to do. It was 8 hours worth of that.
It'd be 10,000 minus the amount through the completion.
Well, no, it's 50,000. 50,000.
50,000!
50,000.
You need, you need 50,000.
You love these big numbers when it comes to trophies. What was it on Resistance?
That was, 10,000 kills, was it?
Oh my god, that'll go down in history as being one of the worst trophies ever.
Mate, 50,000 kills, that game would have been uninstalled for me so fast.
I didn't have to grind 50,000 kills. I'd probably done the vast majority of them during my 2 campaign runs. But
Well, you hoped.
Well, yeah, I'd hoped. But 8 hours of grinding the same level, I still didn't have it done.
It's not like you can count those, because I'd assume this game, the kills go quite quickly, sure.
With Hotline Miami, have you played Hotline Miami, Phil? Do you know what it is?
I haven't, no, and I'm sure some of our listeners probably haven't even heard of the game, so just enlighten us, but give us a bit of background on what the game is.
Sure, so Hotline Miami basically is a top-down shooter. One shot and you're dead. It's extremely hard, and there's enemies in all different rooms that you kind of go through doors, but you can be really stylish with it. So what happens is that you can use your fists, so you can punch enemies, they go on the floor, you can then press X to then stomp on their head and kill them. You can burst through a door and smack them with the door, that will stun them, you can then kill them. You can get a gun, shoot them, you can throw the gun at them to stun them, to then kill them. Get a knife to just swipe them.
So there is a lot of kills in this game.
A lot, yeah. But it's all about learning your route that you're going to take through that level. You're just constantly restarting, and there's no delay in when you respawn.
I've just done the maths. It might be wrong, but I think I might have done it right. It would take, if you just constantly ran that room, you've said 11 kills, right? And you get killed by the 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes roughly 5 seconds per, try.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Oh, well, then let me hang on. Times 2.
Well, just double it.
Should take, I times it by 2. Should take 1,090 minutes or 18.2 hours.
Wow.
Of just running that.
Well, yeah, so I didn't have to do just that, thank God, because I'd already done so much work to it.
That is a hell of a boring flight.
That is a hell of a boring flight.
Like, didn't you enjoy any of the movies, or talk to your missus on the
Or
trip?
go to sleep.
Oh, well, I can't sleep on a plane. So
Oh, really?
No, I just can't do it. So
That
it leaves me
sucks.
with 2 options, really. It's either I'm a 95% completion. I'm going to get it done.
You're a cuddler, Davey. We know this. You probably couldn't cuddle on the on the plane.
No, I know that's the problem. I do need a nice cutch at night, and I couldn't get that on the plane. And my wife probably would have kicked me off anyway if I was trying to.
That's okay, mate. I'm the same.
I need it. So all that ended up happening basically was I sat down, reinstalled it. Fortunately, it's cross-save. So what that meant is that my save was already up in the cloud from the moment I got home. So I just downloaded it on the PS4 and started it. And all it was basically was one night, I just sat there and just did it. And it took me another 2 hours of that.
2. So you
And
did
just-
it for 16.
Just before the end, I literally said to myself, I paused it and I just thought, why am I fucking doing this? Why am I doing this? I got so many more better things I can do. And then I had that talk to myself where you're just like, you've set a goal. You're going to do this. You're going to get it done.
I have one question for you, mate. Concerning what you've just said, you're on 94% completion or 90-ish%. So you're going to beat that game, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get it done. Does that mean you're going to platinum Last of Us 1?
I'm nowhere near 90% on that. I'm like 30%.
Have you not done everything but the multiplayer?
No, because I know I need to do the multiplayer, so I'm not going to do everything else.
That's fair enough. Okay, never mind.
Would you call the Hotline Miami a panty dropper trophy, as you alluded to last episode?
I thought it would be,
Oh.
but then looking at the percentage, it's at like a 4.4% completion.
Wow.
So a lot of people have done what I've done, which is really surprising. Because like sometimes you finish a platinum and you think, fuck me, no one's done that. That's going to be rare. And then you look at the percentage and every fucker's done it. and you're like, Jesus Christ, my platinum's worth nothing now.
Well, I think the Little Big Planet one I had was like super rare, wasn't it? Because there was loads of creation stuff in it and loads of online stuff with
Yeah.
PS3. So
Yeah.
that was quite a rare one to have, wasn't it? But I think a lot of the trophies I have are, pretty common.
I think Death Stranding platinum's quite rare, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it probably is. It's quite a lot.
Have a look on your app. Have a look on your app, it'll tell you.
Yeah. Oh, let's have a look live on the podcast.
Yes, have a look.
Death Stranding, the greatest of great deliverers. That's me, yo.
Yeah.
2.8%. Ultra rare. Is that's rare, isn't it?
No, it's
Yeah.
not that rare. It's not that rare.
Okay.
No, it's not. I'll tell you the exact figure now. On Hotline Miami, the percentage of that is a 3% rarity.
Oh.
So it's not actually that rare. And so I was quite surprised, but it popped and it made me so happy. Made me so happy. And then I thought, right, what's next? And then there was Dead Nation. So Dead Nation is a game that me and Phil played on PS3 when it originally came out. Loved that game. Really, really loved it. Me and Phil we played that together, just getting pissed up, playing it. Really fun.
There seems to be a bit of every game we reminisce about, we're like, yeah, we used to do that, drunk.
I think that's always good, though. That's always a good... I think that makes a game truly memorable when you can remember it when you're pissed up.
That's very true, because I don't really remember a lot of Street Fighter or Smash Brothers.
Well, that's why your skill's so bad.
It really is. Every time I play it, I have to relearn the game.
Yeah, it is. So Dead Nation came out in the Apocalypse Edition on the launch of PlayStation 4. And I started it on the launch and did all the hard trophies. So there's trophy on there, which is you got to survive like a challenge level. And there's like 10 waves to it, and the 10th wave is absolutely solid. I did it solo, no problem at all. The only trophy I had standing in my way was to complete the campaign in co-op. Now the problem is, the player base on that game now is very low. When I was on there, it said there was 1,000 people playing in the UK. So, very low. And I couldn't find a game to run through it on very easy, which I wanted to do.
I think that is the problem with having these kind of multiplayer or online trophies as part of the main stack of trophies, rather than like additional trophies outside of the 100%, is that once you go online and the player base has fallen off, who are you going to play with?
Talk to me about it. Last of Us 1 is my favourite game. I am never going to platinum that game just because of multiplayer.
Well, this was fortunately where the greatness of PlayStation 4 and my ingenuity comes in. Because
There we go.
you can play it in local split screen. So I decided what I was going to do was set up 2 PlayStation pads and do what Sakurai always does on Smash Bros videos. I'm going to play both at the same time. Started that for about 10 seconds and then realised the easiest way to do it was just to let the one die immediately. Would run the person into a load of zombies and it would take them about a minute, maybe a minute and a half to die, because they'd be swarmed, but the amount of hits it would take to kill them, because it's very easy, would just take forever. So I'd just wait there for a minute and a half, they'd die, and then I'd just run the level. And that's pretty much what I did for the entire game. It took about an hour and a half. But when it popped, what I was surprised to notice, well, it's tied as my rarest trophy on PlayStation. The rarity of the trophy itself is 0.5% rarity.
It's rare.
And it's tied with Resistance 2.
Ooh.
Well, boys, I'm not a trophy hunter, as you know, as our listeners know, but I have a trophy that trumps that. I was just
Spent
looking
all this
back.
time thinking of a speech.
You do?
I was just looking back on the new PlayStation app on the phone, and I've gone back to Little Big Planet on the PS3. I have that platinumed, and that's a 0.4%, 100% complete. Here we go. Spence, where are you on your percentage?
Well, I've got 3 platinums, boys. 2 of them are Telltale games, so anyone who's ever beaten those games has the platinum.
Whoever owns those games has the platinum.
What's the percentage on those, Spence?
Give me just a moment, if you will. Well, Batman, the percentage on platinum is 25.4.
Big.
And the platinum for the other one, which was Game of Thrones, which I believe, right, had a smaller player base than Batman. So it might be higher, might be lower.
That's surprising.
Well,
I
I
thought
don't
Game of
think...
Thrones would be huge.
I wouldn't have thought so, because a lot of Batman players will be video game players, where Game of Thrones watchers might not be video game players, you know? This was a 19.0, which means my rarest platinum, I probably shouldn't discuss yet.
Oh, we got that to come. Well, I just want everyone to give a round of applause to Phil for having the rarest platinum on our little team.
I'll take that, boys. I'll take it. Thank you very much.
Well done, Phil.
Whoa. If any of our listeners do have a rarer trophy, maybe email into the podcast and we could maybe have a short interview about the process of you getting that rare trophy. That'd be interesting if we could do something like that in the future. We're open. See what happens.
And where do they need to write into, boys?
Our Twitter at InPSWeTrust or our Gmail at pswetrust@gmail.com.
Or alternatively, just DM any of the three of us, whoever's your favourite.
Whoever's your favourite.
I look forward to those then. Right, well, what I need to know is, I also wouldn't mind somebody doing a bit of research on this. How much difference does it make if I was to dig out my PS3 and platinum Little Big Planet? Would it bump the trophy up to a 0.5% completion so that Phil gets robbed? That's what I want to know.
Definitely not, but that does sound like a challenge.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. That's not a challenge. I'm not doing it.
Challenge.
I'm thinking about that. There's a multiplayer aspect to those trophies, right?
Yes, it's fully. The only trophy I don't have is the one that is get your level liked or whatever. Granted, I could log in, and if maybe I've had that amount of likes since, I could have the platinum sitting there.
Potentially. But I guess we'll never know. I guess we'll just leave this and just say Phil has the best trophy.
Oh, that's so peak.
I will accept defeat.
You have the most trophies. I have the best trophy.
Mate, after this podcast, Dave's going to be Googling what is the rarest platinum.
I know he is. I can see him now. Look at his hands. You can't even see him.
I will be, but then I also know that I'm not going to be getting it because I know the one that is the biggest trophy, in my opinion, that is the biggest panty dropper platinum you can have is Wolfenstein 2. Right? Wolfenstein 2 has a mode that I've mentioned before, which is literally complete the game on the hardest difficulty without a single death. And that game is fucking ridiculous. And if you die, it resets. So there's no saves. You have to do it in one go, start to finish, no deaths.
What's the percentage on that one?
Fucking ridiculous. I'll have a look now.
Right, whilst you're looking, as I said, Dave's going to look at what is the rarest. I know what the hardest platinum is on this. It's like some 10 list, 10 hardest platinum trophies. Do you want to know what number one actually is?
Is it Little Big Planet?
It's Last of Us 1.
Oh, which you'll never do because there's no
Which
online.
I will never do. It has online, it's just abhorrent. I will never complete it because it's a terrible experience.
Wolfenstein 2 is 0.77.
Oh.
So we each have trophies harder than that, which is absolutely insane. Because that trophy is actually a skill-based trophy, not a I made a level about jumping over a fucking knife.
Yeah.
Can we go back and delete everything I've ever said about trophies? Because I actually love trophies now.
So, speaking of trophies, you unlocked a couple of trophies the last couple of weeks because you've been playing Resident Evil 3, haven't you?
I have, mate. And I really appreciate you tuning into the stream and giving me the shit you have. Because I'm sure every point through that game, every twist and turn, every jump scare there was in that game, you were like, no, Phil, to the right, there's a box, pick up the ammo, walk left, turn right. I think you were trying to micromanage me through Resident Evil 3 there.
I was kind of living through you because my first experience was similar to yours. But I looked, and this is actually something that I'll come on to later in the PS5 discussion, but I looked at my total play time for Resident Evil 3. It's 27 hours. Okay. And so I played that game enough to know what's going on. The problem is, you just don't trust me. And so when I was saying about Carlos's shoulder barge being busted good...
The amount of years I've known you, still don't trust you. 100%.
And that's the problem, because in the chat, all I was watching is you just get bitten by zombies, wasting your ammo. And I knew that with Carlos, you could literally shoulder barge them with R1, they'll fall on the floor, and then you just get your knife, stab, 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 they start getting up, shoulder barge down, stab, stab, stab. And then I tried typing that in a Twitch chat, and then you were just like, I'm not having this, he's leading me on.
I think, Davey, you know what happened with God of War? Later on into the game, I naturally picked it up. But a lot of the things early game, I just totally oblivious to. And I think it was very similar with Resident Evil 3. But it actually took me to the end boss to actually understand how to dodge things properly. Because I remember you going, you've actually got it, Phil. You've actually done that really well.
I did, yeah. I was just about to say, I wanted to congratulate you for learning how to perfect dodge on the last boss fight.
On the last boss.
What were your thoughts about the game? What did you think about it? Especially as you posed me the question before about how you feel about it compared to Resident Evil 2. And I said, this was back on episode 1. And I was saying that you can't really compare them, that they're totally different games. They're completely different. Now that you've completed it, what do you feel about the experience? And do you think a lot of people at the time had a problem with the length of the game and that it wasn't worth the money? I obviously think it is worth the money due to the replayability of it. What do you think of it?
I think with the comparison between Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, I think with the remakes, they are vastly different. So it is very hard to sort of compare the two, Resident Evil 2, definitely still my favorite Resident Evil, would definitely be my go-to, but I had a lot of fun during my time with Resident Evil 3. I think if we go back to the PlayStation 1 era, when I originally played these games, or correct me, I originally watched my brother play these games, because a lot of the time it was either my brother, Willard, or myself taking turns playing these games as kids down my parents' television shop, which we did a lot of the time. We were always out the back just playing games. Resident Evil 3 is definitely the least memorable to me. And I think when I was playing it, the remake, it all felt new to me. I think when I replayed Resident Evil 2, the remake, I knew what was going on. I knew where to go. I knew what to look for.
See, I find that really interesting because my experience is the complete opposite. Because for me, Resident Evil 3 was the one that I had a primer guide for. I played every single element. Yeah, boy. I played every single element.
You know you love a game when you've got a primer guide.
Exactly. And so I did everything in Resident Evil 3, but Resident Evil 2, I had a chip PlayStation 1. I used to go to my uncle and he used to be able to get me the games from whoever he got them from. So the problem was, with Resident Evil 2, it was 2 discs, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I got given 1 disc. It was Leon's campaign for the first half of the game. And then I had Claire's half for the second half of the game. All on 1 disc. I don't know how that happens. And so I'd never really understood what the hell was going on. And I didn't really get it. When I played the remake of Resident Evil 2, it was a totally new experience for me. And it blew me away, and I loved it. But then Resident Evil 3, going back to it, seeing what they've done, which I know did split the fan base kind of in half, really. For me, I just felt like it focused it. Just laser focused it on it being an escape.
And that's what it felt like, from start to finish, Nemesis was on your tail, You're not 5 minutes into the game before you're having a boss fight with Nemesis. So it is scary all the way through. And if people watch me on Twitch, I was jumping all the time. Every time he'd burst through the wall, I was like, shit, because it is scary. It's a scary game, but it is an action game. Resident Evil 2 is by far scarier, but there's definitely some jump scares in Resident Evil 3, and I enjoyed it. It's a hell of a game, and I would recommend it. I bought it for, 20 quid off eBay, or maybe a little less. Them cutting corners, shaving a bit off here and there, didn't really bother me, because ultimately I didn't pay, the upfront costs. I don't know what it launched at, maybe 40?
Yeah, it was 40, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't pay the 40 for it.
Do you think you'll go back and get the platinum? Is that something that you think you'll do, or do you think you're just done with it?
I'd love to revisit it. I'd love to revisit Resident Evil 2 remake, because I haven't platinumed that either, and I'm a massive fanboy of Resident Evil. Part of me streaming, part of me setting up this Twitch and spending all the money on the setup is to go back and visit that kind of back catalogue. And there's still games I haven't touched. I've got Doom Eternal, so I'd like to go back and play that as well. So I think now with PlayStation 5, and we'll probably get onto that a little later, or maybe what we're looking forward to playing, in the future on that platform. There is going to be some time there for me to play the older PS4 games, and maybe even revisit some of the PS1 games and PS2 games that I've been talking about on my Twitter. To celebrate the launch of the PS5, we gave you guys the opportunity to win a copy of a PS5 game standard edition by liking, retweeting, and following our Twitter. So that's at InPSWeTrust. And we've picked a winner to the competition.
Ooh, and who is that winner? Ooh.
It's Takane! Congratulations! You've bagged yourself a digital copy of any PS5 game. Well done. Congratulations. And thanks for retweeting, liking, and following our Twitter. We'll be in touch over the next couple of days to discuss with you what PS5 game you're going to get. Hopefully you'll provide us some feedback. And congratulations. Well done.
Yeah, well done, Takane.
Well done, Takane. Awesome result. Awesome result.
And hopefully we're saying your name right.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, we hope so. We hope so. Also, change your Twitter profile picture as well. It's just an observation, but change your Twitter profile picture. It's about time for a bit of an update.
Dude, you cannot say that.
We're not doing the roast anymore, Davey. This isn't the roast.
Oh, fucking hell.
Cut that, man. You fucking can't say that, bro.
So we are now diving headfirst into the PS5. Of course, throughout this discussion and throughout our entire podcast, we make sure to never spoil anything, so we are not going to be spoiling anything for you in anything we discuss. What I want to know is, what was your experience, boys, of picking up the PS5 on launch day? Phil, let's hear about yourself.
Okay, so as you boys know and our listeners know, I pre-ordered mine from Amazon.
Right.
I took the day off to play it on the Thursday.
What was the warning that I gave you about using Amazon to deliver?
You said to me, what you want to do is book the Thursday and the Friday off just in case it doesn't come in time. But I've never been wronged by Amazon, and generally I buy my pre-orders from Amazon and they've always come in time. And I thought, due to the way they handled Xbox and the kind of refunds they gave out and the vouchers that they gave out for the late delivery, they would have got the PlayStation right.
So what happened?
I woke up, normal time, checked my phone, and they said, out for delivery between 7:30, 8:15, I believe it was.
What,
Nice.
AM and AM? Both of them AM?
AM.
That's lovely. That is lovely.
That's nice.
So I
Perfect.
thought, brilliant. Go downstairs, 8:00, make myself a cup of tea. I was downstairs ready. 8:15, nothing. Refreshed my laptop. Got my laptop down with me. And moved to 9:30. I was like, yeah, all right, fine. It's been a little bit delayed. That's completely fine. I'll bang on some Homes Under the Hammer. I will see what's...
What a show, mind. What a show.
I will see what's up with Dion Dublin. Like, what's going on? Like, he's a footballer now. He's flipping houses. Let's go. We've all got to do something else. 9:30 turns round. Nothing. It moves on to 11:00. 11:00.
11?
Right?
11's getting late, isn't it? From an 8 o'clock get up, that's getting late then.
And daytime TV don't get, like, it ain't good, right? So I go upstairs and I thought, let's chill out, do a bit of painting, right? So I've been indulging in a little bit of Warhammer over COVID. So I thought, we'll just chill out,
Oh, paint figures.
relax a little bit, paint some, they're not figures, miniatures, Spencer.
Yeah, figures.
Thank you.
You know you don't get younger by reliving your youth, right?
Let's cut that.
Mate, I thought you meant you got so bored waiting that you repainted your house.
Yeah, that would be peak as well.
So I spent a bit of time. I'm painting the new Goliath gang for Necromunda if you guys are interested.
I'm not.
And it got through to the time, and then I rechecked it, and Amazon said it will be delivered by 11 p.m. And I thought, fuck my life, Davey is right. How am I ever going to live this down?
What a change.
Wow.
And pretty much as soon as I said that to myself, I had a little knock at the door.
What time did you end up getting it then?
Well, it was a little bit later than 11:00. It was 20 to 4. I received the PlayStation 5.
20 to 4.
20 to 4. Yeah, man.
I mean, you were quite lucky in a way because Yodel delivered it, right?
No. It was Amazon delivery, so
Oh.
it wasn't Yodel. It was like an Amazon delivery service in Bristol.
Oh, that's where I'm getting confused. A couple of my mates have ordered it through, have ordered their console for home delivery as well, through Game. Game were using Yodel, and then they sent an email out saying, we can't get to all of you.
But fair play to Amazon, right? And looking back on it, I was pissed off at the time, but I'm glad they kept me in the loop. Because imagine I'm waking up and it says 8:30 or 8:15 or whatever it did, and it wasn't delivered. And then I heard nothing.
Yeah, I'm glad they lied to me 5 times throughout the day.
I like that they kept me up to date.
Yeah, they lied to you. It's gonna be. It'll definitely be delivered like 11 o'clock this time. 12 o'clock happens. About half 12, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock goes by. Oh nah, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. You'll be playing Astro. Freaking 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock goes by. Fucking 20 to 4. You get your console. When they told you 8:15. That's insane.
I think the worst thing about all this is that you booked the day off for this, because that is 1 hour away from your normal end date of your work day. So literally, they've fucked you. They fucked you. Because if you'd had the following day off, you would have been A-okay with this, because you think, oh, I finished my day in work. I've now got it at the right time.
You say an hour. Generally, it's like 5, 6:30, depending on what's going on in my work. You know, I'm very dedicated to my job. You know, but yeah, it wasn't a great experience. You know, if it had turned up at 8:30, definitely I would have got a lot further with the game I've been playing, Spider-Man. But yeah, it wasn't a great experience. But the takeaway is I'm glad they kept me up to date where things were, and I did actually receive it on the day, and I did get the evening to play it.
Yeah, that is nice.
I have friends that ordered the Xbox and they didn't get it to a day or 2 days later, and then Amazon had to like reimburse them in Amazon vouchers. So I think they got like 25 quid in Amazon vouchers for the delay.
Oh, that's sick. I wish mine was delayed.
Mate, that's not sick. I wouldn't trade 25 quid for that.
No, definitely not. 25 quid, I wouldn't.
Imagine taking a day off work and you don't get it until 2 days later.
Oh, no, yeah, okay, yeah. If you're taking a day off work for it, yeah, of course. You have to think, there are some people, right, that took the days off work or like booked maybe a week off work to play Cyberpunk. And look at that now.
Yeah, that's grim. That's super grim. That is grim.
It is a bit of a lottery taking time off to play games, isn't it? You know, like...
Now it is. It never used to be back in the day. It is now.
Yeah.
Well, we've all... Yeah, back in the day, when they were cartridges and they couldn't update them.
Yeah, exactly. You just got them, yeah. Yeah, before the patch era, you were just done. Whatever you got, didn't you?
Imagine in the Sega Mega Drive, you know, like generation, you like take the day off work and they're like, actually Sonic's delayed. But why? They're all gold and they're all printed on the cartridges. Why would it be delayed? You know, you'd be even more pissed off then, wouldn't you?
They'd be like, we haven't put the stickers on the cartridges yet.
Especially as like the cartridges then were like 60 quid, or like 40 quid then, which is like worth like £80 now. You'd be pissed. Absolutely pissed.
Sorry, we haven't put the paper in the actual box art yet. We need to put them in the boxes.
We need to actually write you a proper brochure that's going to be in the instruction manual instead of it being just in case you get a little slip and saying, right, fuck off, here's your safety warning.
Or back in those days, because we didn't have the internet, they probably wouldn't have cared. They probably would have sent you some message and went, actually, Sonic has just run off for a couple of days. Sorry. You know,
I would love that.
It's not like now, right? If a company gives you a bullshit answer, then you complain. You're straight on the internet. You're straight on Twitter. You're straight complaining. But back in the day, what are you going to do? Post them a letter of complaint?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's true.
No one's doing that. No one's doing that.
Yeah, exactly. But if you do want to post into in NPS Request, I can give you Davey's address. Or you could draw him a little picture. That would be amazing.
Draw me a picture. I'd love a picture. A picture you can write in to the email, as Phil said, pswetrust@gmail.com.
I would love someone who has never met any of us, who has never been on our Twitters, but just listens to the podcast, happened to stumble upon it. I know from looking at the analytics, it's widespread across the world at the moment. So possibly they don't know us. Possibly they've never seen our Twitter, but just to draw their impressions of us.
I like that.
That would be amazing. That would be so
That'd be
good.
so cool, wouldn't it?
I do like that.
I'd love it. Yeah, I'd love it.
And what I'll do is, if someone actually does that, I will put it as the episode art for episode 5.
And this goes on continuously, I think.
Yeah.
Through the life of this podcast. If you don't know who we are and you draw a picture and you send it in, that's going to be the art for the week.
Yeah,
that'd be so fun.
I will do that. Yeah, it will be the art for that individual episode. And if there's multiple submissions, then what we'll do is we'll pick the best or the worst, depending on which is more funnier.
We'll have a vote on our Twitter.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
Full of them, mate.
That just gave me another idea of what could be our next potential giveaway. There is a picture of my face on Davey's fridge that he really wants to get rid of.
I did a skit on my YouTube channel, which you can follow at SSJ Davey on YouTube, and it was a skit called How I Became #1 in Wales. In that, I had a picture of Spencer that I made 2 prints of this picture. One I gave away as a competition already, and one I wanted to give to Spencer himself. And Spencer said, I want you to have it, mate.
I thought it was funny.
My wife asked me every single day, why is there a picture of Spence on the fridge? So, and people that come over think it's like a dead relative.
And you have a child as well.
I have a child, and there's no pictures of him on the fridge, but there's a picture of Spence.
Yes.
So I'd love to give that away. So if you want to be in with the chance of having that, then please write into the email, pswetrust@gmail.com, and tell me in a few short sentences why you deserve that picture, and I will make sure it heads your way. No matter where you live in the world, it will go your way.
I want to add, hold on. I sincerely ask that any of you do not enter this giveaway, although it was my idea, because I love the fact that my face is on Davey's fridge. I think it is the funniest thing in the world.
Well, as I was the only person to actually get it delivered, I know both of you boys went in and braved COVID. In the actual stores to get your PlayStation 5s. How did that all go down? Spence, what was your experience picking up your PS5?
About a week prior to me actually picking up the PS5, I started getting texts and emails from Game telling me that my order was ready to be collected. And obviously that was because I ordered mine with Miles Morales on the PS5. They were telling me I could happily go and pick up my Miles Morales if I wanted. But I was thinking that they were telling me, come pick up your PS5. And I was like, oh, let's go. So I literally I checked the Game website. They didn't have any 24/7 live chat. And if there's no live chat, I'm not going to bother because they'll take too long. Can't be asked. But I just DM'd them on Twitter, and the woman who runs it happily replied to me and said she'd help me on everything. She told me it's probably just Miles Morales. I said, yeah, I figured as much. You can either come pick it up now, or you could come pick it up midnight launch on Wednesday midnight. And I literally replied to her saying, you're doing a midnight launch. And she said, yeah, of course we are. And no professionality whatsoever in these messages. I just went, let's fucking go to her on Twitter.
That blew my mind, because that opened my entire mind to different possibilities.
Because last week we weren't sure whether that was going to be a possibility with COVID, were we?
Yeah,
we
not
weren't
at all.
sure whether they were going to be doing midnight launches, if that was against kind of the government's advice, if, video games are a necessity, to open up shops at this time.
Exactly. Last time we spoke, we thought it was going to be an 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. arrival time that we had. And so we were kind of debating on how we were going to handle that, what time we were going to get there, everything else. So this development, Spence, really blew my mind in terms of thinking, oh my God, we're actually going to get a midnight launch.
It blew mine as well, mate. Blew mine wide fucking open. I couldn't believe she said midnight launch. As soon as she said it, my world caved in on itself and was just like, what am I going to do?
You know, colorblind people, when they can't see color and they get those glasses and they're like, oh, and they start crying and shit. I was like that. I was like that from hearing that news from you. So how was your midnight launch? Obviously, I guess you went to Game Newport then by the sound of it.
Yeah, I definitely did. I went there around, obviously, I said I was going to go there around 11:15 to you. But then, obviously, we were trying to kill time and played Smash.
Did you meet the girl that you were DMing?
I did. I did meet her.
Oh, hello.
She was going up the queue of people whilst we were there. And she was the one, like, getting people's order numbers, signing people in. And she was lovely, to be fair. I said I'd get there around 11:15, but me and Davey were kind of chatting, trying to kill time until midnight. And
what are we doing, Spence? Because it seems to me like as if I said to you, do you want to play Smash? And you said, okay, yeah. And then we had a best of 3 before we never play Smash ever again. And it turned into a best of 5, and I won that best of 5. So I'm the best Smash player in Wales at the moment.
well,
How do you feel about that?
Fine at the moment.
That's not the reaction I wanted. I'm not going to lie.
Usually I'd be livid. I wouldn't be very happy about it. But right next to me is my PlayStation 5. So I kind of couldn't give a shit about Smash. But yeah, so I got there. We played our best of 3 and then I lost and I was like, you fuck this. Best of 5. Or emergency, I think I said. And we did our emergency. Emergency means we play an extra, 1. So we'd have to get the 4 wins rather than 3.
And you lost that, didn't you? So then you were saying, oh, we'll do another one. And then we realised it was 11:30.
Yeah. So after we finished this whole Smash thing, I realised it was 20 past 11. I thought, fuck me, I better get the game. I got there. The queue was it was about, the length of the queue was about the height of the PlayStation. It was monolithic. It was huge. It was about 6 stores down from the actual game itself. And I thought, fuck me, I definitely should have shown up earlier.
Did everyone have their mask on?
Not a single person. Not one.
Didn't they?
That
really?
was
No one
a
did.
risk.
There was
That was a
literally
risk,
no
bro.
one, no. We all had our masks and we all put them on to go into the store. But in the queue, we didn't have our masks. We stayed at a safe 2-meter distance. Literally everyone did. They all followed that guideline, but no one really wore masks in the queue. So I just hopped in the queue. I was 5 stores behind, 6 stores behind. And obviously, as I was there, people started getting behind me as well. What I thought was a monolithic queue behind me seemed to have doubled. The queue behind me was easily twice as large as the queue in front of me, and I thought, Jesus Christ, how much stock does game even have? A bunch of these sods behind me. I wondered how many of them had came just to be like, oh, I don't have another number, but can I pre-order or can I collect the PlayStation 5?
I was going to say, this is Newport. This would be very risky walking out of that store on your own with a PS5. Spencer?
Which I did. I did, yeah.
Oh, you did? You didn't
I
have
did.
anyone with you?
Not a soul. I'll continue the story. I was in this queue. I waited I was there for half past maybe, so I waited half an hour. And then the queue seemed to fly down. They were letting 7 people in at a time. I got in. I made friends with the 3 people behind me. It was a little group of 3 people. They were quite lovely. It was quite a similar dynamic to us. There was one quite young like myself. There was one seemingly middle, which is, I guess it's not Davey. He was younger than Davey. But, that's that. And then there was a proper old one who looked like his good 40s.
He's still just getting in towards his prime, though, yeah? And was he front of the queue, in the 3?
He was definitely, he was very active. He talked a lot.
Well, there we go.
Less time on the planet, isn't it? He's got less time left. So he's taking every moment he can to say whatever he's got to say. Isn't that right, Phil?
What you should have said to him is, what platinums have you got, and are they rare?
Oh, mate, well, I'll tell you exactly what I said to him. The first thing I said to him was oh, do you boys listen to podcasts?
Really? Bit of promotion.
It's the
Nice.
first thing I said to them. I was like, do you boys listen to podcasts very much? They were like, yeah, of course. And they said an unnamed podcast. I'm not going to say which podcast. And I said, maybe you should check out this podcast. And they were like, oh yeah, what's good about it? I was like, well, I'm in it. That's number 1. Just kind of chatted about PlayStation. They chatted a lot about themselves, a lot rather than chatting about PlayStation on a whole. So I wasn't in a lot of the conversation.
That's very similar to this podcast with Davey. Just chats about himself all the time.
He unmuted his mic just for a silence.
I'm going to leave as many of these gaps in as I need to, especially in the edit. You better believe it.
This podcast is 4 hours long because Davey's always
Just because
leaving.
of gaps.
Every time someone goes in for a dig on Davey, he just leaves this massive gap.
If you don't realise, listener, by the way, these gaps I'm leaving in aren't an issue with the audio of the podcast. It's intentional.
Back to your story, Spence.
The bloke said, next customer, please. And then I walked on over and he had my PS5 in a brown shipping box, obviously because I'd ordered online, whereas people that had ordered in-store got their PlayStation in the PlayStation box itself. Mine was in the PlayStation box, but within another brown parcel box. As I walked out, I had my mask on, but the girl who I'd been DMing about everything was at the door, and she said, she looked at me, and I just smiled, because I was buzzing, because I had my PS5, and she said, you look so happy. I was like, yeah, of course I fucking am. And I just left.
As you walked out, did you have a gangster lean? Did you drop the leg a little bit as you walked?
Mate, I left that shop in a full sprint. I had a PlayStation 5 in my hands, running from Newport.
In Newport, shit, yeah.
Yeah, I glanced at the queue. I glanced at the queue for a second just to be like, yeah, that's right. I got it. And then I sprinted. I was gone.
Good for you, mate.
And then I had to go all the way across Newport through freaking wherever, the main town, across the road to where I parked. It was free parking, and I didn't park in a very secure place. It was quite a sketchy place. So I was looking over my shoulders, just like, please.
So to avoid, a parking fee of maybe £3 or £4, you risked your PlayStation.
Well, the thing is, right, I had to afford the PlayStation.
Okay, it was that close cut. Wow.
My bank currently has about £1.07.
Fair play, bro. Fair play.
So if I could not park.
What I don't know is behind the scenes, this entire time has been a discussion between me and Spencer about how close he is to affording the PlayStation. And it's been, you sold your PS4, didn't you?
I sold my PS4, my iPhone, my iPad, my 2DS, loads of games.
And so then it's also been a case that he owes me money for vape liquid, which I let slide.
But of course, you've got to bring up on the podcast so you've got some sort of evidence of him owing you the money.
Exactly. Legally now, he owes me money. And
I do now again, but I didn't.
It's a new tab.
Because I paid you back.
What I like is that eventually you got your PlayStation. That's the main thing about it, is that you knew how much you need to raise, and you did it. And you got the physical one, which was more expensive than digital. So
I did, yeah.
So let me talk you through my experience. See, my queue, they were all professionals. They all knew what they were doing. They were all middle-aged or older, other than a couple. And what happened is that I just got out of the shower, and I got Spencer's message showing me the queue. I thought, fuck me. Okay, Cambran's a smaller town than Newport.
I bet that was a hard wank.
It wasn't too bad. I managed to nut one out. And then I thought, right, I better get down there. And fuck me, about 4 stores down the queue was. So okay, that's fine. It was silent. The entire queuing experience was fucking silent. So I was in the queue, I was waiting there, and there's all these people coming out. There's probably about 20 people, 25 people in front of me, all coming out the shop with their PS5s in game bags, right?
Right.
And I said to the guy behind me, I said, I hope we don't have to pay for the plastic bag because I don't have my wallet.
Oh.
He looked at me like as if I just called cancer in him.
So then you become the weirdo in the queue.
Immediately become the weirdo in the queue, yeah. And so I literally was just like, oh, fuck me. Like, I thought that was a good joke. And he just looked at me like as if I was a fucking arsehole. Like, your earlier question was, in my queue, everyone had a mask. I couldn't read him. He had his mask on, so all I saw was his eyes, and they looked angry. But just like you, I went through the queue, no problems at all. Get to the end, got my box, and it was just in a brown packing box. That's it. Nothing special about it. Just went home. But literally, just like you were saying, Phil, Cabran isn't much better than Newport. So I was out there toot sweet. Got in the car, pressed that automatic lock function as soon as I got in.
Yeah, mate.
Got home, and then set the bad boy up.
Hell yeah.
Now, I know I mentioned on a previous podcast about I wasn't thinking about what I was going to do with the PS5 until I put it in there. But I broke. A couple of hours before I went to pick it up, I measured my unit to make sure I could fit the monolith into there.
As you should have anyway.
Mate, you don't know until you've got it. Like, how did you know? Like, would it fit?
Well, like with most things, if it doesn't fit, you just ram it in. And it works fine, right? That's from my experience.
That's crazy.
But
you just got to push harder.
Poor Lottie.
It's a big boy, isn't it? Right? Because in my unit, we have Apple TV. We have a DVD player because my missus has a massive array of DVDs that she still watches. We have the old Xbox One,
Which
still
can
there,
play DVDs. Funnily enough.
which still could play DVDs, but Laura probably wouldn't understand how to get that set up. A DVD player is much easier for her, so we keep that there for her. And then in the middle, the monster, the PS5. It takes up the majority of the room.
see, I totally disagree with you on this. Like, I totally disagree. I was worried about where it was going to go, right? And I really was. And I measured it, and I realized, oh my God, it's way smaller than I actually anticipated.
Were you very far away when you saw the console, though?
I unpacked it and put it immediately. The first thing I did was unpacked it, and I put it right next to my PS4 Pro. And
Okay.
it was bigger. It was a third bigger. But in terms of my unit, and I'm always used to dealing with a big member, so I know a big member. But I put it in, and it was fine. It was absolutely fine.
That's
That's killed him.
bullshit I've ever heard in my life.
That's killed him. That's killed him.
That's the
You
funniest
like
thing
that?
you've ever said.
You like
Ever
that?
said.
You like that? So I put it in there. I knew immediately. Yeah, this is fine. And I tell you what, the thing I'm gutted about, boys, is that mine is having to lie down, and I can't stand it up. It looks so much better standing up. I mean, how have you guys done it? How have you guys managed to fit this thing in? Obviously, I'm saying it. I don't think it's as big as I intended, but Phil, you're saying that you think it's pretty nuts, right? That it's pretty big. So tell me about what you managed to do.
I'm sure women tell you it's not as big as they thought as well.
Yeah, my PS5 is probably the same as your PS5, Davey. I know probably you think it's a lot larger than everyone else's PS5, but actually they're all the same size.
I think we're talking about different things here, mate. I think we're talking about different things.
Anyway, my PS5 sits on the IKEA cabinet and it takes up about a third of the room, and it is a beast. My TV does span the width of my cabinet, so there's no room either side. I have my Switch at the back, which actually just pokes out the side of my TV. But other than that, there's no space there to like put a vertical console. So I had to go horizontal. All those concerns that people had about how difficult the clip was, it took me all of a couple of seconds just to attach that thing and just chuck it in.
I didn't get that either. I honestly don't understand what... I mean, it's the internet, isn't it? So people are obviously going to blow everything out of proportion, but it was the easiest thing. If I can figure out the stand, then anyone can. And I can't put together IKEA furniture. I don't have a bloody clue what I'm doing.
But just put it out there, guys. I am not a fan of how it looks. I think it looks horrendous in situ. It looks lovely on the internet because it's lit and it's placed in the most photographic or photogenic position it could possibly be in. But in my living room, I think it just looks super ugly. It's huge. Yeah, I just don't love it. That's my personal opinion of it currently.
See, I'm the opposite from you boys. I have mine vertical, but even though it is vertical, which is very nice, it does look stunning when it's stood up. As I'm opposed, like I reckon it looks way better stood up than it would horizontal, as I imagine anyone else would agree. But mine isn't in a very nice place. Mine's just on the floor next to my desk. My desk is just a bunch of shelves with the shelves taken out, and my floor is carpet, so it's not great for the console. And I can't even really see it because it's next to a lot of wires. But it still looks amazing.
So I think vertically, the console, it does look beautiful, right, in all the pictures. But you don't realize the size of it, right?
Yeah.
It's bigger than the PC I'm looking at, right? But horizontal, I just think it does look ugly in the current setup. But as with most Japanese consoles, every iteration of the console does get smaller. So
Yeah.
I could imagine the next version of the PS5 is going to look nice.
The George Foreman PS5.
I gotta vehemently disagree with you. Like, proper disagree with you.
Okay.
Even when I put it horizontal, I know it looks better vertical. It does. Like, that's without question. However,
I'd agree.
Even horizontal, it looks amazing. In my unit, the thing about it is when I put it in horizontal, before I pressed the button and turned it on, I thought, oh, it doesn't look very good. As soon as those LEDs came around it, and I got that blue light in there. Now, the thing that also makes it also hype is that before I came home with it, I set my hue lighting to be blue. So that in my room, when I play PS5, it's blue light with a blue LED in there. And so it lights up my unit. It looks amazing. And even when it's turned off or in rest mode and it's orange, it still looks great. And the thing about it is, whereas you guys have been used to seeing a PS4 or a PS4 Slim let down, I've been used to seeing a PS4 Pro, and it looks like shit. The PS4 Pro let down looks like absolute trash. It just looks like 3 blocks stacked on top of each other. It looks horrendous let down. I've been used to seeing that for the last 2 years since God of War came out. So seeing the PS5 let down just looks so nice.
Ultimately, boys, As much as I've said, it's an horrendous console to look at. I am not looking at the console.
That's true. That's true.
I am looking at the games, right? And we're going to get onto this in a second. And oh my god.
So yeah, I think it's really interesting. I mean, just like Phil said, when the PS5 Pro or PS5 Slim comes out, I think it's going to be a different discussion. I think they may change the redesign.
Yeah.
But I am all about it. I really do like it. And even though it is horizontal, I think it is a step up from the PS4 Pro. But I do understand where everyone else is going with this, and that it might not be for everyone.
No, I completely agree. But like, obviously, the point of a console is not to look at the console, but to play the game.
Exactly. We've all got our PS5s. Now the important question is, what did we start playing first? Spence, why don't you lead off?
Right. Well, so obviously, as we know, I got mine at midnight, same as Davey. And the first thing I did was set it up and boot up Astro's Playroom, because obviously I'd held the DualSense in my hands. I thought, oh my god, this is nuts. Let's see what it can do. And Astro's Playroom is the perfect test demo to see what the DualSense is capable of.
So what did you think of it?
Well, Astro's, if you don't know, I don't know who
Sure.
hasn't played it, because if you own a PS5, you definitely should have. It's basically like a walk down memory lane, where it like kind of walks you through the history of the PlayStation 1, then the PlayStation 2, 3 and 4, finishes with the PlayStation 5. It's beautiful, it's amazing, controls really well.
Sure. When I've seen any of the tech demos, it very much reminds me of Little Big Planet in the way it's kind of set and plays, yeah?
Yeah, it kind of does feel. I feel like the main reason for that is because Astro as a character is kind of similar to Sackboy.
Sure.
And the world layout, where it's kind of just like a free roaming little thing where you just traverse little worlds, is very similar to Little Big Planet. And that's probably where the comparison comes in.
What did you think of the haptics and
Mate.
stuff like that was being shown off?
I'm not going to lie, right? I'd heard a lot of stuff about Astro's Playroom, and I thought these haptics were going to be brilliant, like life-changing. Like I could never go back to another controller again. But I will say, although the haptics are nice and they are amazing, and you can feel the difference depending on what you're walking on and all the different vibrations and such in-game, they didn't blow me away as much as I thought they would.
My first game I played was Astro's 2.
So you both bought the PS5, and the first game you thought you'd play was the tech demo.
I think that's a bit of a disservice calling it a tech demo. I
Yeah,
really
it is
do.
a disservice. It is a disservice.
Rather than the AAA title that I know both of you bought.
I
Yeah.
will be totally honest with you immediately off the bat, and I'll set the stage clear as day. This is the biggest game for a platform launch since Wii Sports for the Wii.
I was just going to say, is it on that level? Because
Yes.
not to give our conversations away, but I haven't played Astros yet. I jumped straight into Spider-Man. Is this on the level of Wii Sports Resort?
It's beyond.
Wii?
Yeah, it is 100% on the same level, and it is
Okay.
way further beyond than that. The game literally is incredible. There is not a single word other than that I can describe to it.
Basically, you enter it and you're in a CPU plaza. Because the way the game is based, you're inside of the PlayStation 5. And so
Okay.
you have 4 little subworlds, each one basically being each console prior to the PlayStation 5. So basically, as you like progress through the worlds, each world has different gimmicks. I'd say probably gimmicks is the right word. Where obviously the PlayStation 1, it utilizes the trackpad feature of the DualSense. PlayStation 2, I think, which one's the PlayStation 2 world again, Davey?
SSD Speedway. That's
So
the
that's
one
the
with
rocket
your
ship.
That's the one with your adaptive triggers.
Yeah, so that's you control a rocket ship in that one. So that's more to do with adaptive triggers, and you control like the strength of the rocket with the triggers and how far you can fly. So the third world is the PlayStation 3, which is kind of like a jungle environment, in which case you get into a suit of a monkey and you have to climb. And you do that by using the motion sensors, the motion of the DualSense. You tilt it and hold the triggers as you move. And the adaptive triggers also come into play in that, because there's like kind of a zipper kind of thing, and you can feel the adaptive triggers kind of vibrate as you go through the zippers, and it feels amazing, I find.
Especially as when you need to clutch onto a rock and you got to do it gently. So you got to press the adaptive triggers gently. And I sucked ass at that. I've never had a game that I've sucked so hard at before, except for that one.
Because we were playing at the same time, obviously we said to each other we were going to play at the same time and in voice chat. So I said, why don't you screen share to me? Because I've already beaten that world. So I watched him kind of traverse through it and just laugh and just watch him struggle with the whole monkey climbing thing.
That was horrendous. I was so bad at it. It was unreal.
It was so funny. And then the fourth world, the spring guy. And he's basically, you hold R2 and you kind of feel the tension of the springs as you charge up the jump with the spring guy. And you like traverse through those levels in that kind of sense. And then it kind of all comes together. It's just a history of PlayStation. And it's a really feel-good moment if you've like been with PlayStation throughout the history of its life. And there's all these little Easter eggs and hints throughout the game.
When did you join PlayStation, Spence? Because I know you're a little bit younger than me and Davey.
I had my first console was a Mega Drive, and then I had a PlayStation 1, then a PlayStation 2.
So you do remember the PlayStation 1? I was just wondering.
Yeah, I had both consoles of the PlayStation 1.
When were you born, Spence?
1998.
Did you get your console on a hand-me-down?
All my consoles are hand-me-downs because I have an older brother.
Why isn't he on the podcast?
For me, Astro, playing it was sensational.
Mate, it's nothing short of breathtaking, is it?
It really is just something special. For those that haven't played it yet, and for those that are waiting for the PS5, the first thing I will recommend you to do is to play Astros, because it is just so good. The amount, especially if you're about 30 or in your late 20s, and you've been with PlayStation since the beginning, and you can remember being a child and putting in that demo disc for the first time, playing Pandemonium and playing all these different games.
What a game, Pandemonium.
Yeah, having that and the Crash Bandicoot 1 level for the first 2 levels and all these different things, I would thoroughly recommend you to do it, because not only is the adaptive triggers and the feedback and the entire thing is just a massive sale for the DualSense. The DualSense, from playing that, immediately I know is the best controller ever made. It is phenomenal. When you walk in the rain and you feel the rain on Memory Meadow hit your pad and the entire pad shakes in a way that just simulates the rain, and you move from that into hail and you feel the difference between that and hail, is phenomenal. The problem is this won't be realized outside the first party. The game does an amazing thing with 3D audio to feed that back through your speakers and combine that with the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback to give you an amazing immersory experience.
Do you think games that come out after this game will take advantage of all these aspects you're talking about, right? I know on previous generations we've had tech demos which, you know, show off X, Y, and Z of the feature, and then later on these features are forgotten about.
I think it all depends. There's a couple of factors at play here. So the first factor is sales. If the PS5 completely dwarfs the Xbox, then you know the lead platform of choice for development is going to be PlayStation, in which case they're going to focus their best resources on that system.
But we know as PlayStation fans, they don't always support the first party technology.
What do you mean?
What do I mean? I mean PS Vita. I mean Move Controller. I mean everything that comes with PlayStation outside the PlayStation platform.
I'd argue that's
fully go in with that, do they?
I think I'd argue that's a different argument. So I'd argue that's more the first party abandoning that rather than being anything else.
Well, that's where I'm going with it, right? So the game developers, do they use this technology going forward, or do they just forget about it like they have with previous consoles?
So judging by what we got at the moment, every single game that I can think of for launch supports adaptive triggers and supports haptics.
Yeah, it does.
And every single game does it differently. So
Sure.
you think about a game like Call of Duty, the feedback from players at the moment is overwhelmingly positive in terms of how it feels and how every single gun has a different trigger feel.
But I'm sure it was overwhelmingly positive about the Move controllers originally when they first came out, no?
It was, but the problem is you're kind of already putting yourself into a niche because you're not talking about the hardware that everyone has. So you're talking about a proprietary hardware that not everyone takes up.
Where does PSVR fit into all this? That's my biggest question.
The PSVR is kind of in a bit of a dormant state right now.
But has it really ever taken off?
If you look at the difference of units sold from PSVR compared to what's the one you have, Spence?
Oculus Quest.
Compared to the Oculus or compared to the what's the other one?
There's Oculus Rift, there's the Valve Index, there's HTC Vive.
So all these PSVR is outsold them.
But that makes sense because it's a lot cheaper, isn't it? And it's a console one which is plug and play compared to the Valve maybe Index, which you're going to have to install drivers and have a 3, 4, 5,000 pound PC to run it.
Exactly, and that's the reason why it's outsold it. And even then, the sales haven't been particularly amazing. So the PSVR sold 2.2 million units, and that is compared to an install base of 120 million. It's obviously based on last year's figures with the VR, but there's a massive difference. The install rate is not there, but Sony really believes in the vision for VR. The problem is, to your initial question, PS4 games with VR don't get upscaling with PS5. They don't. So everyone's anticipating there's going to be a PSVR 2.
So do you think Sony is going to abandon VR?
No, I don't. Because every single exec on record has said about how they think VR is the future. And I totally agree with them. I think VR is the future. But I just think the way they're going about it just isn't attractive to the general consumer base. Because the thing about it is it's not a social experience. And then also on top of that, you've got a headset which at the moment, under the current redesign, is full of wires. Now, I can only go off the experience that Spencer's given me with VR. I've played Sony PSVR just like you have, Phil, in a couple of controlled environments at different trade shows. And it was fun, but the resolution was shit.
Mate, it wasn't fun.
Why?
Because we were both hungover. And it both made us feel sick.
Right, yeah, but that's nothing to do with the platform itself.
No, I totally understand that. That's a setting and that's a,
I've had 3 different experiences with PSVR, and the first 2 were incredible experiences, and the last one was awful. I was sat on Gran Turismo game. You put me in a racing rig, and the guy's like, yeah, you'll be able to feel the road. It's going to feel amazing. And I was like, okay, all right. Put me in it. I was hungover as fuck. All right, we've been on the drinks for 4 days at this point. So, and I was hungover. I had about 4 hours of sleep. Put me in it. Put me in a racing car. Okay. And the problem was, instead of the racing wheel moving with me, it was on a demo. So I was just moving with this car that was running. So I was a passenger in a race car, and that's the last thing you need when you're hungover. It was horrendous. It was the worst experience ever. And I caught out of it, and I thought, oh my god, I feel so sick. Because I wasn't controlling it. Whereas if I had been driving it, I probably would have felt like that was amazing. But the resolution's always been a major issue to me, because no matter how I've changed it and moved it forward and backwards on my face, it's never been crystal clear. And that's been a massive problem. Whereas Spence, I played your one, which was your Quest, right?
Yeah.
And that was obviously wireless, and that was fantastic. It was a great experience. But the problem I got with it, it's not a social experience. You guys were in the room, you were watching me playing Job Simulator. You guys weren't really too bothered about it. And vice versa when I was watching you guys play it. I think that's the big thing. I think, it's just not sociable to show off that tech compared to something like Astros or Wii Sports, which is a bit more visually appealing to the masses.
Davey, remember the fun we had when we were co-oping Portals 2? So you were on PlayStation, I was on PC, and we had a whale of a time, right? We're in different places, but that was incredible. But imagine trying to do that on VR. How difficult that would be, right?
I don't understand what you mean. Well, what would be hard about it?
Don't you think with VR, this barrier to kind of the outside world apart from what you're doing personally?
Yeah, I suppose, but then it's all about the UI for the game then, isn't it? It's all about putting the other person in the corner of your screen or something, I guess.
I think with VR, you are focused on what you're doing. I think in general gaming, you have that ability to look up and see what's happening around you. When we went into Bristol and we did that experience, didn't we? And we all played VR games. That was so difficult to kind of work out what was happening to other people at certain times, because
That's true.
you're concentrating on what you're doing in VR because it's all new, it's all different, it's all strange to you. For me, that's my experience in it. I'm just so in my head with VR.
That was with the HTC Vive, right?
Which
is the most intense, the best one on the market at the time when we played it.
Well, at the time
It
we
was
played
at
it,
the time.
it
At the time we
was,
played
yeah.
it was.
But you probably say the Valve Index is
Yeah,
push that a little bit at the moment. Yeah.
But yeah, this was over like what, a year and a half ago now at this point. So it was the HTC Vive at the time. But I mean, this is the thing about it, is you think about a new way of playing. What I wonder is, when you get someone who doesn't know gaming into an environment, like, just say for example you just put someone you don't know, like my dad for example, you just put him into God of War, he'll have the same feeling that we do in VR, and us trying to acclimatize ourselves to it, play the normal game. So I don't think that's a relevant argument. I think it's just a case of you just get used to that, and then you work from there to that base level of understanding how the platform works and move forward with it.
But you are spending £300 or £400 buying this equipment, right?
And that's the problem. And that's why the attach rate is so low. So yeah, so VR I think will be the potential future, but it's years off. But I think as a way to get the general market behind a product and to make someone feel the difference in DualSense compared to DS4, I think Astros is that product. And I think anyone's doing themselves a bit of a disservice by not checking it out, because I really strongly feel like it is an incredible game. And Spence, if I remember you saying when we played together, you were rating it higher than Mario Odyssey.
It's quite a similar game to Mario Odyssey, or like Mario 3D games in general, like the way it functions. And I remember just playing it and thinking, I'm having way more fun with this. Obviously, I was on the hype and excitement of experiencing a new console. Whereas Mario Odyssey came out after the Switch had released. So it's a bit different. I was like, this is my first time playing PS5. Just experiencing Astro's Playroom, I thought, and it's got a controversial topic probably. I'm not sure who listens, probably hopefully PlayStation fans rather than Nintendo fans.
I think at the end of the day, no matter which fan you are, if you're PlayStation or Nintendo, you're a Nintendo fan as well. Like,
Yeah,
you've got a Switch, you've played all these different consoles, you've played both, so you can make an informed opinion on them.
So all I'm saying is I feel like maybe I thought Astros was better than it was because of the hype of PlayStation 5. Whereas Mario wouldn't have had the same treatment because it was later on in Switch's life, Switch's release. But regardless of that, still playing Astros, it felt like just a better version of Mario Odyssey. It felt like the development that went into it, there was so much more care in the game. They cared about giving you this experience, cared about letting you know just how good the controller was and just how, like, what it was capable of. And that's all it was meant to be. All it had to be was showing off the DualSense. But Sony went above and beyond and said, we're not just going to give you a tech demo, we're giving you a trip down memory lane, we're giving you a history lesson, we're giving you a full-fledged game that you can platinum and experience and have a good time playing.
Did you get the platinum?
I did get the platinum, mate. You know I got the platinum. I got it in 3 hours.
And me. We got it around about the same time. It was an incredible experience, start to finish. Have you got anything you want to add about Astros at all, Spence? Anything you want to sell someone on that hasn't played it?
Well, all I can say is, if you have a PS5 and you haven't played Astros, you are an absolute idiot. It should be your first choice. Davey, I know you've played it too. I played it with you. I know you had a little bit of help when you platinumed it, because you needed a little bit of help.
I did.
I was that help, by the way.
It was... All I'd say is that it's like buying a Wii and not playing Wii Sports. It really is that big, in my opinion. It really is. It is such a tech demo for what the controller can do. And the way it's built, like the differences of moving on different textures and feeling that through the controller, I cannot explain to you how good that feels. Moving from a solid state ground to moving into clay to moving into ice. And they all feel so distinct, and it's all from the sound effects produced from the 3D audio combined with the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers, it just makes DualSense just such a phenomenal controller.
But do you not think, right? Say this generation, it moves on, and you've seen all these things before, and then this game comes out, and you're just like, well, it's just showing us all the things we know about the PS5. It's just introducing you to all the kind of aspects, isn't it? It's just it's made to highlight what a PS5 can do, isn't it?
No, I completely disagree, because although it was obviously intentional, like they intended to make it show off what the PS5 is capable of and the DualSense is capable of, they didn't have to go as far as they did. They put so much more care and thought into it. They gave it its own story, its own world, its own worlds even. It has several worlds.
Do you think there's going to be an Astros 2?
Well, this already is Astros 2.
Yeah, the original was on the PSVR. So Astrobot Rescue, I think it was, on PSVR, was the original.
So it's a game to introduce you to things in a console.
Yeah, it's beyond that, because obviously that is its intended purpose.
But do you think there's going to be a second one within this console?
No.
Yes.
You do?
I do.
Oh!
I disagree with you. Yes, I do. I honestly think that yes, it will be, because this character and the characters that it invokes throughout the time playing the game are really memorable.
And do you not think it's just going to be another character in Little Big Planet?
I think that this takes the same design as a Little Big Planet in terms of, you know, with Little Big Planet you can put on different costumes, and you can put on like Nathan Drake's costume and you can be them. Right, well, throughout your time throughout Astrobot, you see these different characters that are Easter eggs for different PlayStation games. So you see like a guy that looks like Norman Reedus' character in Death Stranding, or all these different ones. The thing about it is that the worlds that you encompass in Astros could easily, in my opinion, be rotated out into a different environment. And you could have 10, 12, 15 different levels, all with different themes, be it wind, be it ice, be it lava, whatever it is, default things, and it would just be really fun because it would be all-encompassing of the DualSense, and I would love that.
I mean, like, as much as I agree with you that it could be encompassing a DualSense, they've kind of done the DualSense now. I think they would be absolute idiots to like release more Astros throughout the PS5 lifespan, just because, you know, when you get your next console, you'll be like, this is going to have Astros. Astros was phenomenal last time. Can't wait to play it on the next one and see what the new features are. If they release another one in PS5's lifespan, they can't show off anywhere near as much as they already have. Right, well, me and Davey have been talking quite a lot about our opinions of Astros, but Phil, you haven't seemed to chime in quite as much. So, like, what's your experience with the game?
Well, Spence, I've only really had limited time with my PS5.
Right.
And I've got Spider-Man sat there, and I thought the majority of my time I want to push into this game. I haven't actually played Astros just yet. I've just been playing Spider-Man.
That's trash. That's just trash.
So what are your thoughts on it, Phil? Obviously no spoilers or anything.
Well, not going any spoilers, and we're not going to any specifics in what's gone on in the game itself, but it's a lot of what I've come to accept with Spider-Man games from Insomniac. I'm really enjoying it so far. You know, the story is compelling, and it picks up from the last Spider-Man game on the PS4.
What I like is how when you start it, it gives you the option to have a playback for what happened previously. And that was so helpful to me. Obviously, being a couple of years away from when it first launched.
I didn't bother watching that. Did you watch it?
Yeah, of course I did, yeah. And it gave me the full rundown of what happened to Miles' dad and kind of everything. And I thought, oh, fuck yeah. It's been, a couple of years. Yeah, of course. Did you not play it? You're just so desperate to dive in.
Yeah, I didn't watch the run back at all.
Oh my God, you're such a mug.
I very much went through the playback as well, just to kind of catch up on what's going on. But, oh my God, like, the graphics on that game, like, this is, like, my first experience of the PlayStation 5, and it is incredible, isn't it?
Well, my issue is I'm playing it on a 1080p monitor, so I'm not experiencing it in 4K, which I assume both of you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what mode do you play it in? You play it in fidelity or performance?
I'm playing it on max, mate. Max on everything. And I have the 4K Sony TV like downstairs, so that's what I'm playing it on.
Yeah, I mean, you got the two options. You got fidelity, which is where you're playing at 30 FPS, but you're playing it with ray tracing on and with 4K graphics, or 60 FPS but at 4K. So you're playing it in the fidelity mode.
Yeah, man.
So good, isn't it? So good looking. The thing that's blowing my mind, Elf, every single time I play it, is just literally swinging past a building in daylight and just seeing the reflections in every single thing you pass. Just looks so incredible. Literally diving down to the ground and seeing the taxis when you run past them, seeing your reflection in them. Oh my god.
See, I'm the opposite of you boys. Obviously, like, I know, seeing as though I'm playing it on 1080p monitor, because I'm playing it on a PC monitor, not a TV, it should be able to handle 1080p ray tracing and 60 FPS, but I know for a fact that it will be capped at 30, because there's not a chance they'll even let it. So I'm playing it on performance anyway, just to make sure I get 60 FPS, because that's what I care about, because I'm a PC gamer mainly, or I have been in the past. So I'm playing it on performance, so I don't have any of this stunning reflection or anything for me. But even still, it is a stunning game. The suits, the characters, the cutscenes, the combat, everything is perfect.
One of the best moments for me so far, and I don't mean any of the cutscenes, I don't mean any of the storylines. I'm talking about just swinging through the city, and you press that button, and you switch, and you're like turning, and you fly through some of the pylons. It is so damn cool, man. That is epic.
The big thing for me with this game, immediately, the thing that stood out to me, like, I remember the PS4 version so well, having platinumed it and everything. And so the thing with me is, I immediately put it up to Spectacular, which is the hardest difficulty, which is something that, as you know from listening to the podcast previously, I don't normally do. I normally play it on normal.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I know this game. I know everything. I know it in and out. I know what I'm going to do. I had it at Spectacular. And the thing for me, the first moment that struck me is that this soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it
really
is
so
is.
fucking good. Right at the start, you've got a fight with someone, and you jump onto a lamppost, and it comes up with like your Spidey skill points and stuff. And this rap track kicks in. And that moment, I didn't do anything. I just stood around, watched the snow fall around me, watched my reflection in the environment, listened to this rap track, and I thought, fuck me, it's got me. It's fucking got me. And from that moment, I've literally had a couple of those moments since in the different things I've been doing. From the moment the game starts, it's got a great soundtrack, really hip-hop based soundtrack. And it carries on throughout. And I'm only about 3 hours in, so I've got a lot to go through yet. But it's on my Spotify playlist. Every single one of these tracks so far that I've come across is on my Spotify playlist, and I love it, and it's so fucking good.
It's every time you're walking along the floor and you press the web, and then it goes dun, and then it kicks into the music. It's so epic.
The theme is so good, and
yeah.
And I think the thing about it is, like, with high fidelity mode, like we're playing it on film, it just looks incredible. Literally, it really does. Like, I know that one of the things that we said to each other, Spence, before is that with fidelity mode you get sick of it's just reflections. What does it mean? That's underplaying it so much. It looks so incredible. Literally every single thing you see, you're just like, oh my god. Throughout the game, it changes to different variants of daylight. So like nighttime, daylight, kind of afternoon. And you get all these different lighting effects. And the way the ray tracing works off the environment, it's just so incredible. It just looks so good. I haven't seen anything where it's made me relive the same experience I had in 2018, where I really enjoyed just swinging around the city with nothing to do. Just really enjoyed just running around, swinging around, and just experiencing it. And it's recaptured that. And I played Spider-Man PS4 till completion, did every single thing I could. and I've got that again. It's been renewed, and it's so good.
Because it very much is the same game, though, Davey, right? It's all these effects added on top, but it does feel like very similar.
It does, but I don't think that's a bad point. I think that's the perfect point, because I think Insomniac have just reevaluated themselves as the best purchase that Sony could have made at the time.
100% I don't see that as a negative, but it is a game I played before, right?
Yeah.
And I've bought a new console. Am I wanting a new experience, or am I wanting an experience that I loved on the last console?
I mean, yeah, I understand how you mean, whereas you'd probably want a new experience. But if you know the experience is perfect and like as good as it probably can be at the moment, Miles Morales is, as like small as it might be, it is an enhancement on the original. And like the enhancement does show through on PS5, I find.
Miles Morales, Spider-Man, it is a better game than the PS4 game. It is stunning. I love it so far. I've only played a couple of hours, but it is an improvement on the original. And as you know, as a Twitter follower, Spider-Man was one of my favorite games of last generation.
Yeah.
It was just under Death Stranding, but yeah, I'm loving it so far.
For me, as you boys both know, obviously you've both only had like a slight bit of time with Miles Morales. I actually played it after I finished Astro's Playroom last night, and then I played it again today. I've actually finished Spider-Man Miles Morales. I beat the whole story. I still have the platinum to get, which I'm sure I'll do either tonight or tomorrow, probably tomorrow. But the game itself, Jesus Christ. The story, you boys don't even know what's coming for you. The story is amazing. The ending beats Spider-Man OG by miles.
Wow.
Seriously,
it destroys the original Spider-Man ending easily.
do you think it's going to lead directly into Spider-Man 2 then? Or is this a completely different, is it going off in a different way?
Well,
or is that spoilers for me to say?
I think you'll beat the game, and as you know, Spider-Man OG had an ending cutscene after the credits. I think you'll find this game kind of has the same thing.
But I don't feel like the OG really was much of a surprise of what happened. I think you kind of was expecting it.
I think you're totally off on that. Like, what happens in that story, I don't want to spoil it. Obviously, we're going to have a spoiler cast when we've all completed Miles Morales, so we're going to discuss this in a lot of depth when we get to that. But what happens in the original OG Spider-Man story, the ending cutscene, yes, okay, yeah, I expected that. But I mean, like, before that.
Okay, before that, but the ending, you kind of knew where it was going, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, this new game, I didn't see it going where it went. I obviously, like, there are some things where you're like, well, that's painfully obvious, and I've already discussed that with Phil, but it's spoilers, so we won't talk about it now.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things that were painfully obvious that, thankfully, they come to light right away. So they're not like, you figure something out, you think, oh, well, this is the main twist, and it's not. And then you get to the end, and it blows you away. The ending is amazing.
I think the thing for me, right, I'm a 90s Spider-Man fan, right? So I remember that intro. And I remember...
mean the OG animated series, the best series ever made by man?
It's not the best intro, is it? Because X-Men is, like, I know those characters inside and out, right? I take on the persona, I have that in my username as Venom Phil, right? But when it comes to Miles Morales, I don't know the bad guys that well.
See, I'm very much a Miles Morales fan. I prefer Miles to Peter Parker. I've read the comics and seen the film and all that. I still don't really know the Tinkerer. I think it might be a unique villain, but I might be...
It's not a unique villain. It's not. No, it's not. It's definitely not a unique villain.
I've watched the Spideyverse, so that's my only reference, really, to Miles Morales. But outside of that, I don't really get it, right? So it is interesting to, like, find out what characters, like, jump up in this PS5 version of Spider-Man.
Yeah, but Davey, as I was saying, like, as this unique, as like, I mean, to Spider-Man, to Miles Morales as a character, it's unique to him.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, Miles Morales is never as good as Peter. He's not.
I think he is. I honestly prefer. I think I prefer Miles. I can't tell you. I think I do.
The problem is that how are they going to get using the Venom punch and the Venom techniques are so good. They're so good. And how are you going to translate that back to being Peter and not having those and having the OG
they'll do the
combat?
same. They'll do the same as they did in Spider-Man OG, where you had the like normal segments where you played as Miles. They could have those in Spider-Man 2, where you play as a mix of both, because they're both Spider-Man. They're both Spider-Man at that point.
I want it to be a Peter-centric story. I want it to be, if they're introducing what I think they're introducing in the other cutscenes that have been played at the end of the last Spider-Man game, I want it to be a personal story between Peter and whoever it is. But how do you introduce that with how good the combat is in Miles Morales?
It's hard to say, because obviously, like, all these new things, all these new techniques, they're not going to be available to Peter unless he makes some tech to compensate.
The thing about it, I think, with Miles, he introduces a lot of the techniques Peter has really early. When I played the original Spider-Man, the whole, like, grabbing the gun and kicking them up, there's a lot of things that you didn't get immediately with Peter.
Right.
Like, yeah, very true. Very true.
These are things that you had to skill up to get, but Miles gets them day one. So maybe with Peter that he has some ability which is almost like the Venom punch, but you can call it a web punch. You can call it whatever you want, but it's the same thing but different, if you like.
I mean, like, I agree with that, but a web punch will look nowhere near as cool as a Venom punch on a 4K.
It depends on how they do it. I mean, this is Insomniac at the end of the day. Like, these guys know what they're doing, and they've had the base game, which is Spider-Man PS4, to build off, and they've done Miles Morales, which is, in my opinion, for my limited time, I've only got 3 hours with it. It's a step up from the original, and then you got maybe 2-3 years from here for Spider-Man 2. Yeah,
we do.
God knows what Insomniac can do, but they're not going to disappoint. Like, this studio, they've not done a step wrong in memory. No. Outside of a couple of Ratchet and Clank side games they've done, which would be dodgy, which Phil's probably purchased, like All for One or something like that. They haven't done a step wrong. I'm not going to doubt them.
I completely agree. Like, Insomniac are insane. They've definitely made a step up on Miles Morales, and they bring back Phil's point. There's like Miles certainly knows a lot of stuff Peter already had. Throughout the entire game, if you didn't know, because I didn't know, you have the charge jump where you hold R2 and press X. You have it throughout the entire game. I didn't realize I had it until like halfway through my playthrough. And that was when I started using it, because I just didn't even know. I checked my move list and it was there. And I was like, when did I unlock this? And obviously you have it right away. But like...
Well, he's been trained by Peter, hasn't it? He's been trained by Peter.
Yeah. But then, like, there are obviously things he also doesn't know. He has his own unique things. The Venom skills are so fucking cool.
They look good, don't they?
They look good.
What I love is that the difference in the animations is just amazing. Like, for every single thing, like, the way he takes someone down is just so... It just looks like as if he's just... Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I just love that.
I also like the way he's shit at certain things.
Yeah,
so when you're
swinging at things.
When you're swinging along and you get too low, he'll fall over.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't remember that in the original. Without giving too much away of the story, that's kind of the aspect of Miles Morales, is he's learning as he's going to all these different things and becoming Spider-Man, isn't he? So he's going to make mistakes. And that is very clear in the early game, which I've played, maybe 4 or 5 hours of the game. He makes mistakes.
Yeah, I find that, like, obviously Insomniac chose that would be the best kind of story to put Miles in. Whereas, like, obviously Peter, he is Spider-Man. He knows what he's doing. And with Miles, they were like, well, he's Miles. He's been Spider-Man for, 2 months? Peter's teaching him, but he's still got a lot to go. If you notice when you, like, web zip, so, like, you just LT and RT to a place, he lands, and then he kind of wobbles for a second. And Peter never did that in the original, and I think that's amazing. But yeah, he knows he's going to make mistakes, and they'll affect him. And obviously, when Peter was first Spider-Man, he surely did the same. So he's going to go through the same experiences. He's going to become his own Spider-Man. And then Spider-Man 2, it's still going to be about Spider-Man, but maybe it won't be about Peter, Davey.
I hope it's about Peter, because Peter's a boy. So what I reckon is, a week after this podcast goes live, we will have a spoiler cast out.
Right, so boys, I myself don't really have any negatives about the PS5. because I think it's fucking brilliant. I'm in love with it. I think it's a perfect console aside from maybe the size. It's a bit big, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with something being a bit too big, you know what I'm saying? But what about you boys? What do you think of the PS5 compared to the PS4? Are there any negatives that you can think of? Davey, how about you?
There's a couple of things that I think are kind of more personal issues than anything else, but they're something that I think is probably quite relevant. So with the PS5 UI, the problem with it is, to get into your trophy mix, you've got to press the PS button, go down, scroll all the way to profile, then go into trophies. Why isn't there the ability to be able to just go straight into your trophies like there was on PS4?
I mean,
It's a major issue for me. It literally takes ages compared to PS4. On PS4, you just press the PS button, go straight across the trophies on the right, press X, done. It
you
takes
press
such
it.
a long time.
You press it now, you don't hold it because obviously they've swapped out. Whereas in PS4 you'd hold PlayStation for the quick access, and now you just tap it, which makes a lot more sense. But also, like, yeah, sure, you have the act of scrolling over is maybe longer, but surely it loads a lot faster than it would on PS4.
Seems pretty similar, to be honest. By the time you got into there and gone into your profile and then gone to trophies, it feels like as if it's the same length of time that it would do. It doesn't feel any quicker. And the problem is, when you press the PS button, you've got a customize option on the bottom.
Right.
The customize option isn't a full customize option.
No.
It's a customize for a couple of options they give you. And I imagine this is going to be something that's patched in the future because you can't add everything in there. You've got mic settings, you've got personal profile, you've got a few different things that you can add in and add out. But it's not like a trophy setting. Why can't I just add trophies in there? Like, if I could just add trophies into my quick menu, I could just press PS, go on trophies, done. Done. Absolutely no issue, just like it was on PS4. But instead I can't do that. It's so annoying. So annoying. Just to check a trophy, granted, the way you can sort those trophies is better than on PS4, but that is so frustrating.
See, I think you're forgetting about the thing I mentioned before on the podcast, which is you can just tap R1 and it scrolls all the way to the right, which is still a feature right now. So if you just press PlayStation and tap R1, you're on profile.
Ooh. That might be an option. That might be an option. Okay, that might be an option. That might be something for our listeners to know. I didn't know about that. I'll try that. I'll see if that alleviates the issue, but I don't think it will. When I press the PS button, why do I need my mic setting there when I could just replace that, because that's not changed, to trophies?
Well, you could just, obviously there is a customize option on the bar, although you can't like slide things to move things in different places, you can turn things on and off. You would just turn off the mute function seeing as you have it on your controller.
Well, yeah, I've done that, but the problem is you can't rotate anything into that customize option.
No, you
that's
can't.
my big issue. And so if you could, I'm sure that in patch 2.0, whatever's down the line, they're going to change that and let you be able to augment that. That's going to be a massive feature for me because it's really detrimental.
No, I do understand how you mean, and obviously it's not as customizable as we'd like it to be, or as Xbox is, because we've seen Xboxes as well. I'm sure, or I'd like to think they change that in the future, but I'd imagine they kind of built it around what they imagine would be the most highest priority to typical and most gamers, and that's the kind of order they've put them in. It makes a lot more sense to make it customizable per person, and I wish they would do that, and I hope they will. But for now, I think we're probably just kind of stuck with it. But I don't think that's terrible, to be honest.
So, for me, it's probably quite an embarrassing story. So,
Even better.
I'm setting up Miles Morales. I'm playing through, skipping Astro's Playroom, right? And it gets through to the time where I'm getting a bit tired. So I'm like, right, I just got to turn it off.
You held the PlayStation button.
And I'm sitting there holding the PlayStation button, expecting the menu to pop up and say, turn PlayStation off, reset the PlayStation, log off the PlayStation. And I'm like, what is going on? Why would you change something that's so fundamental to how I use the PlayStation now? Why would you do that? Right? So then I'm like, oh shit, I don't even know how to turn this thing off. Right? So I'm Googling how to turn off a PlayStation 5.
Did you actually get that far? You Googled it?
Like, How do you turn it off?
You just tap the button.
You just tap it, right? It's the same problem you've just explained. For me, I've held it and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm lost, right? Because this is the expected experience, right? And then I've Googled it and then just like tap it and okay, I can scroll down to the bottom and scroll to the right, fine. And then I turned it off. But why would you change that?
Okay, well, I'll tell you exactly why right now. It was literally called in the PS4 the quick access menu, I'm fairly sure. Yet you had to hold it to access the quick access menu. What's faster, holding a button or tapping a button? If they truly want it to be the quickest access menu it can be, it will be a tap function. And that's what they've done with the PS5. So sure, like it'll take a while to get used to it, but it is the way it probably should be.
Sure. I'm Steve Jobs, and I'm like,
You want?
I've made this OS, and everyone's used to it. Do you know
Yeah.
what? I'm just going to suddenly change it.
I totally agree with Phil here.
Yeah, but have you not
Phil.
seen apps get updated? Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat,
Oh.
Instagram. Happens
They don't
all
get
the time.
fundamentally updated from the ground up, though.
Yes,
I
they
totally
do.
agree with Phil on this. I totally agree with Phil.
do.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I totally agree with Phil.
Well, I'm in disagreement. For once, I'm in disagreement. You're both wrong.
I think if you're going to fucking turn it off, hold the button, it should come up with the same options for rest mode. And what I also don't know is that why when I press it, it doesn't go back to the home screen, and why it comes up with the game center. That should be a held button of prompt.
See, I think
Like-
you're biased because that was the previous experience. I think you're both old.
But
and you
that
don't
should
like
be the
change.
right way. That should be the right way.
No, because
surely,
it's
like you're
changed.
saying, Phil. I agree with you, Phil.
Why would you change it, right? Why would you change it now? It's not a better experience. It's just a different experience now. You're
It
just
is-
changing. You're just changing something because it's different. You're not changing anything because it's a better experience, right? I'm
No.
used to this, right? So
Sure.
so I get the new iPhone and suddenly I don't, swipe right to like get to the next set of apps. There's suddenly something different. That's weird, right?
You swipe diagonal just because it's fun.
Yeah. Why
No,
would I do
no, because that's different. That's different. This isn't. I'm not going to pretend this is a better experience because obviously we're used to the prior experience, which is holding the button. This is a more sensical experience. It makes a lot more sense. If you tap the button to get quick access, it's quicker. It makes more sense for that to be the way to access quick access. And home, you hold the button. I mean, I'm not going to
does
pretend.
make sense. It does make sense.
It makes
the
sense.
problem
It's
is,
just you boys are old and you don't like change.
It,
I'm young and I'm welcome to change.
it makes sense, right? But ultimately, why didn't Sony think of that in the first place? Why wasn't it a tap in the first place? Why has it always been a hold? Why did they teach us this is the right way and then they flip reverse it, and now it's different?
Because they realised they were wrong, Phil. Just like you boys are right now.
we might be, but the problem is we've all been accustomed to it. So surely, at a certain point, you got to think, right? Well, if everyone's doing it the wrong way, like the same way that there's that guy who created the GIF, right? And he says it's the GIF. No one calls it the GIF.
Yeah, but
right?
he's a
everyone calls
mongin.
it the. Yeah,
No one
exactly.
calls it the
But
GIF.
Exactly. The guy who created the GIF calls it the GIF, right?
What a prick.
I know, exactly what a nonce, right? Everyone calls it the GIF. And so he's like, it's the GIF. But everyone calls it the GIF. So it's just accepted from there.
Why? I would like to argue that. Because Sony changed the fundamental aspect of quick access, yeah. But if they just kept it the same as it was in PS4 and said, oh yeah, now it's the kick access menu, no one would call it the kick access menu. They said the quick is actually pronounced kick. It's different. It's making something more sensible, as in it's something being fast is quick.
That sounds like a Phil topic. I'm going to have to cut that.
It does sound like a Phil topic. It does. It does. I completely
I
agree.
have to cut that straight out. No,
But what I'm saying
I mean
is the arguments don't apply.
No, they do. They do completely, because the quick access menu should be what your people are used to, right? So on the PS4,
No.
you would press the PS4 button once, you'd be back on the home screen. And then from there, you could scroll over and put it to rest. You held it, you go into the option for power down.
Exactly.
It
Boys
should
are
be
old.
exactly the same. The
Why
quick
would you
menu
change
option
it?
for card. The problem is the card system, I don't think, isn't very good. I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's very good. I think it's pointless.
That's fine.
Like, it tells me how far percent I am through a particular section. Okay, I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care. I don't know how far I am through Neon Point Zero, because I don't know what Neon Point Zero even fucking means at this point.
Yeah,
I
that's
need
fine.
to be like fucking 10 hours further into know what that actually means. I just don't get it. And
Right. That's fine.
maybe in a week or two, when I've had more time with it, I'd experience it and be like, okay, I understand. But right now, the PS4 UI was so fucking good, and these extra additions they could add on would make it fucking amazing. But instead they're like, no, let's just fucking redesign where trophies are, where your settings are, where the power off options are, and fuck it up.
Right, except the thing is, you said the quick access menu should be where people is used to it being. That's wrong. The quick access menu should be the quickest thing to get to. Quick is in the fucking name. It should be a quick tap of the button rather than having to hold the button. It shouldn't take you longer to get to the quick access menu than it should to get to home.
New isn't always better, right? I just don't think this is a better solution to what we had.
I disagree.
I completely agree with you, Phil.
I disagree. Although I do agree with the fact that new isn't always better, because it's not. This time I think it is.
We'll probably see by the next episode. By the time we get a couple of episodes deep, we'll probably be used to how the PS5 UI works.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sony doesn't patch this UI to make it more either A, customizable, or B, more like the PS4.
Not a chance. I wouldn't be surprised if by this next episode you boys are more used to the PS5 UI and you change your thinking.
I'm not sure, right? So I've changed between operating systems on PC. I've changed between operating systems on Mac, and I don't feel like they make such a radical change, such as the fundamental to turn something off in a different place, right? Windows, bottom left. That's how you turn it off, right? You go down to the Windows button and you say off. Mac, top left. You go to Apple, off. But PlayStation, I'm going to just completely change something that someone uses every single day.
I completely 100% agree with you. And I think Spencer's in the wrong with this because he's so far up the PS5's ass that he can't see that it's wrong.
I didn't buy his beers. You didn't buy his beers.
This is what
clearly
happens.
my own opinions, and I believe they're correct, as anyone would with their own opinions. I'm welcome to change. I think the new UI is very nice, although it could be better. I'm not a massive fan of cards myself. They just made me realise something I prefer on the PS4 to the PS5. Because you literally brought it up. On the PS4, if you remember, you'd go on your trophies, there'd be a hidden trophy, and you just press square, and it tells you the information. Now you have to press start and then go to show hidden information and press X. And it is well fucking annoying. You have actually just kind of backed your own case there.
Do you know what else is annoying? You probably won't realise this, and anyone who's got a load of games on PS4 will realise this. Say I've just installed the PS5, which I have. Got all these games which are just downloaded, right? Instead of having the one that's got the fucking disc in at the start, which you'd expect it to be.
No, it shows the one that was most recently played, doesn't it?
It's so annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying. Yeah, I do agree with that. I do completely agree with that.
Thing about it is, Sony just needs to learn from the PS4 UI. The PS4 UI was fucking great. It wasn't perfect, and the card system and the share system and all these different little things they brought into PS5 are great. They're phenomenal. But the ease of use on PS4 is so much easier. Transitioning from PS3 to PS4 was a lot easier experience than PS4 to PS5, in my opinion.
100% agree with that one statement.
Yeah, but
It
I would
felt the
argue
same.
that the PS3 UI was a lot more similar to the PS4 UI than the PS4 UI is to the PS5.
But is that a good thing?
Is
It
it?
can be. We don't know. It can
It-
be. We're only
it-
2 days into the console.
Really? It had a scroll bar in the middle. Like, what's so dramatically different to the PS5 to the PS4?
Well, the media section's a whole different section. You have to press R1 to just even get into it. And other than that,
But when you play...
the Game Hub exists, the whole quick menu is completely different.
Okay, so we're talking basics, right? I just want to go on my console and play games. What's the difference, right? On PS3, you had a bar, and I press and hold, I could turn off the system. I can go into my game. PS4, exactly the same. PS5 changes this.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they've realised it's better, it's faster. In my opinion, obviously I'm licking PS5's arsehole, but I do think it is an improvement, and I might be proven wrong, but obviously I'm not. I'm playing my console for a lot of extended periods of time. I'm not caring anywhere near as much.
You've got the rose-tinted glasses on there, Spence, I think.
I think you boys do. I think because you both are so accustomed to the PS4, you both have the glasses on.
You guys will be the deciding factor on this. If you've got a PS5, please let us know what you think about it. Please write into the email, pswetrust@gmail.com, and let me know your experiences, because there's no right or wrong answer to this. I'd love to hear what you think about it.
You're wrong.
And that is it for this episode of In PS We Trust. Now, as you could probably tell, I've become sober again. And through the power of editing, I'm going to stitch this onto the end of the last episode. And that is because last night I had to jump off to go and be violently sick after we finished recording. And I've been hungover, hanging out my arse all day. How are you guys doing?
I'm completely fine, mate. I only had like 8 or 9 Budweisers last night. I got a decent bit tipsy. I didn't eat yesterday, so it hit me quite hard. But I definitely was nowhere near your level, and I didn't feel sick at all. So I was fine, mate.
I've been feeling good, actually. Yeah, no issues. I stuck to the beer last night. A couple of glasses of wine. I think it was just the IPA a couple of weeks back that really hit me hard. So I might stick to wine and beer for the future.
I think what I've learned is I need to put a limit on myself, because drinking 12 beers and 2 ciders was just daft. I was absolutely hanging out my arse. But I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. And as I've said throughout, write in pswetrust@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on anything we cover, and if you want to shape what we talk about for the next episode, which will be in 2 weeks' time. But anyway, I've been Davey.
I've been Phil.
And I've been Spencer.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavey, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See ya.